Chapter 1764. From old Madame Liang's point of view, if Mu Lianfeng were to send commoners back, it would be a disgraceful thing to do. Liang Jinshun followed behind old Madame Liang and agreed. That's right, Yin girl. You can't do this. If others find out that Shitzi Yi is sending us back with a donkey cart, there will be rumors. You can't do that. If the matter reached the authorities, they would be charged with disrespect. Wouldn't they suffer along with them? Zhao Yin'er frowned. She didn't expect the Liang family to have such a big reaction. She really didn't have the time. So what if she let Mu Lianfeng send them back? Zhao Yin'er ignored the concept of hierarchy in this era. From their point of view, someone of Mu Lianfeng's status definitely wouldn't do this kind of thing. If I don't let him send us back, I won't have the time to do it either. Zhao Yin'er muttered. The fish had to be processed tonight. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to handle it tomorrow. The Liang family started to feel awkward. If they didn't send them back with a donkey cart, old Madame Liang and Liang Xinzi would suffer. They didn't have the guts to let Mu Lianfeng send them back. Just as they were feeling awkward, Liang Jinxiao said, Yun'er girl, why don't you let your grandmother and Zia rest tonight? Anyway, this is our house. If we make a bed, your grandmother and Zia can sleep. Tomorrow, when we eat wine, they still have to come back and forth. It's very troublesome. If they rest tonight, they won't have to make another trip tomorrow. After hearing Liang Jinxiao's words, Zhao Yin'er felt that it made sense. This time, she sent them back with a donkey cart. She couldn't use a donkey cart to pick them up tomorrow, right? According to old Madame Liang and Liang Xinzi's attitude, it would be troublesome if they came tomorrow. Guo Zixia hurriedly agreed. Eldest sister, your idea is good. It will save you the trouble of going back and forth. Mother and Zia will also be tired. Zhao Yin'er nodded. All right, since that's the case, I won't let Lord Heir send you back. Grandma and cousin Zia, why don't you stay at my house tonight? I'll ask my mother to prepare a room for you later. Old Madame Liang replied with a smile. All right then, I'll only stay for one night. Sorry for disturbing you. Liang Jinxiao glared at old Madame Liang and muttered unhappily. Mother, why are you talking to me like that? You're my mother. How can I not disturb you? Granny Liang smiled kindly. It's troublesome for an old woman like me to stay in your house. It's okay, mother. My house is big, and there's room for us to live in. We don't have to squeeze together. It's not a difficult task to clean up a room. I reckon it won't even take a quarter of an hour. Hearing Liang Jinxiao's words, old Madame Liang smiled. All right then. Since it's not too much trouble, your mother can rest assured. Liang Jinfen's eyes darted around. Then he said to Liang Jinxiao, Eldest sister, can you prepare a room for us as a family of 3 to stay in tonight? It's tiring to walk all the way back. We still have to come back for dinner tomorrow, so we can't walk at all. Liang Jinxiao was too embarrassed to refuse Liang Jinfen's direct request. However, he didn't want Liang Jinfen to stay at their house tonight. It wasn't that he found it troublesome, but he wasn't used to others staying at his house, just like how he wouldn't casually ask to stay at someone else's house. Chapter 1765. They stayed because they were lazy and didn't want to move around, not because they had no other choice. Zhao Yin'er had witnessed Liang Jinfen's shamelessness time and time again. How could there be such a weirdo in this world? Of all people, he was her relative. If it weren't for Liang Jinxiao, Zhao Yin'er would have slapped Liang Jinfen and taught him a lesson. Second aunt, you're really shameless, Zhao Yin'er said coldly. Liang Jinfen subconsciously touched his face. Is that so? Could it be that I have gained weight recently? Zhao Yin'er was moved to tears by Liang Jinfen's IQ. How could there be such a person? After rolling her eyes, Zhao Yin'er said sarcastically. It seems that second aunt doesn't understand human language. I mean, where did you get the nerve to stay over at my house for a night? Liang Jinfen finally understood Zhao Yin'er's words. He retorted unhappily. So what if I stayed over at your house for a night? The dozen or so rooms in your house can't accommodate so many people. Aren't you just giving us a room? It's not like it's difficult. Seeing that Liang Jinfen said it as a matter of fact, she didn't feel embarrassed at all. Instead, she thought that Zhao Yin'er was too stingy for not letting them stay for one night. Zhao Yin'er snorted coldly. There are so many rooms in my house. Do you think we have to let you sleep in all of them? What kind of logic is this? Why didn't you share some of your money with my family in the past? My mother and the others didn't have it easy back then. How can it be the same thing? Liang Jinfen muttered. How can it not be the same thing? Second aunt, if you're like grandma or cousin Z, I don't mind if you stay over for a night. But you're doing fine. What right do you have to stay over at my house? Zhao Yin'er's tone became colder as she directly expressed her attitude. Seeing this, old Madame Liang reprimanded Liang Jinfen. Finner Yin'er is right. Why do you have to stay over for a night? Can't you go back? You only want to trouble others. Guo Caixia chimed in. Second sister, according to what you said, we don't have to go back. Let's just stay over at eldest sister's house. It's not like what you said. Mother and Z's TS to stay. Otherwise, I definitely won't let my last trouble eldest sister's family. After being ridiculed, Liang Jinfen's, she pursed her lips and grumbled with some dissatisfaction. All right, let's go then. I don't know what they built such a big house for. I think they're just keeping it for decoration. Zhao Yin'er's mouth twitched. This woman could say whatever she wanted. In any case, he would not let her stay over for a night. Seeing her made him feel vexed and unhappy. Okay, stop talking. Second sister, let's go together. Liang Jinshun called out to Liang Jinfen. He was afraid that if they stayed any longer, they would quarrel again. Liang Jinfen was a little unconvinced as she left with her family. Zhao Yin'er's eyebrows twitched as she watched them leave. She felt a sense of relief. He had finally gotten rid of this weirdo. Old Madame Liang sighed. She held Zhao Yin'er's hand and nagged. Yin'er, don't be calculative with your second aunt. She's a muddle-headed person who likes to spout nonsense. Zhao Yin'er nodded in response. I know, Grandma. Chapter 1766. I'll have to trouble you guys tonight. Old Madame Liang smiled amiably and patted Zhao Yin'er's hand. Seeing the smile on old Madame Liang's face, Zhao Yin'er suddenly thought of her own biological grandparents. They also smiled at her like this. Among these weirdos, old Madame Liang was considered a very good existence. At least she treated her junior quite well. She behaved like a grandmother should, unlike Hua Chunhua, who was a weirdo even though she was a grandmother. Grandmother, you and cousin Z, should go inside and rest. My mother and I will prepare to cook later. Old Madame Liang laughed and replied, all right then. You guys get busy. Z, and I will go inside and sit. We won't trouble you. Okay. Zhao Yin'er and Liang Jinxiao continued to work. The vegetarian dishes were prepared, and Zhao Yin'er also prepared some meat dishes. In order to prevent the fish from spoiling, Zhao Yin'er specially made some ice cubes and stored the fish in a simple refrigerator she made. For dinner, Zhao Yin'er casually made some food. Many of the dishes from lunch were left over, so they could be eaten after heating them up. They could wait until tomorrow to eat a banquet, and they could eat something better. After dinner, the family tidied up and prepared to rest. Next, Liang Jinxiao made a bed for old Madame Liang and Liang Xinzi. On such a hot day, there was no need to cover them with too many blankets. After a busy day, Zhao Yin'er and Liang Jinxiao were already tired and covered in sweat. On such a hot day, and with so much sweat, they had to take a good bath. Before Zhao Yin'er prepared to take a bath, Liang Jinxiao approached Zhao Yin'er and said to Zhao Yin'er, Yin'er, Zier said that she sweated a lot today and wanted to take a bath. However, she didn't bring any clothes to change into. So she asked if you could lend her a set of clothes that you don't need, so that she can have clean clothes to wear after taking a bath. Zhao Yin'er nodded and said, yes, I will go and find her a set. If he didn't take a shower in this kind of weather, his clothes would probably rot tomorrow. It was indeed uncomfortable. Zhao Yin'er went to her room and looked in the wardrobe. Because he was working, and these 2 days, he was wearing the coarse clothes from before. It was too wasteful to wear the new clothes that were made later. If one was not careful, the clothes would be stained with the juice that could not be washed off. It would be a pity if the juice was scraped. Tomorrow, he had to continue working and cook the banquet in the kitchen. If the oil in the pot spilled out, it would be very difficult to clean it. Therefore, he had to keep the coarse clothes for himself to change into, so he could only lend the new clothes that he made to Liang Xinxi. Liang Xinzi didn't need to do any work, so there shouldn't be any stains on her clothes. With this thought, Zhao Yun'er took out a light blue silk dress. This dress was bought with one tael of silver. It was a ready-made dress. Zhao Yun'er liked the style and color of this dress. It looked very pure on her body. Although the body of the original owner had given birth to a child, she was only 19 years old. In the 21st century, she would be a little girl who had just come of age. It was very suitable for her to wear this kind of pure clothes. When she changed into this dress, Mu Lianfeng was stunned by Zhao Yun'er. He said that she usually didn't dress up, but if she dressed up, she wouldn't be worse than anyone else. Holding the light blue dress, Zhao Yun'er went to the room where Liang Xinzi was resting and handed the dress to Liang Xinzi. Chapter 1767. Liang Xinzi glanced at the clothes that Zhao Yun'er had brought over and was slightly stunned. She asked Zhao Yun'er in surprise, "Cousin, are you really going to lend me these clothes?" Zhao Yun'er nodded and replied, "Yes, what's wrong? Don't tell me you don't want to? You don't like these clothes?" Liang Xinzi hurriedly waved her hand and swallowed her saliva. No, it's not that I don't want to. I just think that these clothes are too beautiful. It's too good. Cousin, how can you be willing to lend them to me?" Liang Xinzi saw that Zhao Yun'er was wearing rags and thought that Zhao Yun'er didn't have such beautiful clothes. Who knew that Zhao Yun'er had deliberately not worn them and was now lending them to her? They, the villagers, usually wore coarse clothes. It was only when the little girl's family was better off that they could wear colorful clothes. However, she had never seen anyone in the village wear clothes like Zhao Yun'er's. Zhao Yun'er was amused by Liang Xinzi and couldn't help but tease her. "No matter what clothes they are, aren't they for people to wear? I don't have any other clothes to lend to you. It doesn't matter if you wear them once. But cousin, why don't you wear them yourself? You can just lend me the clothes you're wearing." Liang Xinzi still felt embarrassed. Zhao Yun'er smiled. "I still have work to do tomorrow. I have to wear these coarse clothes. You don't have to do anything. It doesn't matter if you wear better clothes." "But cousin," seeing that Liang Xanzi was about to say something, Zhao Yun'er interrupted Liang Xanzi's words. Okay, cousin Zier, you don't have to be polite with me anymore, okay? If you don't want to wear them, then I don't have any other clothes to give you. You won't be able to take a bath tonight." Liang Xinzi could only say, "All right, cousin Yun'er, then I'll wear them." "Yes, I'll go prepare some bath water for you. It's inconvenient for you to walk, so I'll bring it over," Zhao Yun'er called out. Just as she was about to leave, she was stopped by Liang Xinzi. "Cousin," Zhao Yun'er turned around, raised her eyebrows and asked, "Is there anything else?" Liang Xinzi shook her head. No, I just feel that you're really good cousin." The smile on Zhao Yun'er's face deepened. This girl probably hadn't seen how ruthless she could be. However, Zhao Yun'er wouldn't target someone for no reason. If others respected her, she would also respect them. However, if others offended her, she would not let them have a good time. Liang Xinzi had better hope that he would not do anything that would make her unhappy. Otherwise, when the time came, he would definitely want to take back his words. "Don't be so pretentious. It's already late. We still have to wake up early tomorrow. Although you don't have to wake up early, it will probably be very noisy, and you won't be able to sleep. So you should rest early tonight." "All right, got it, cousin." As Zhao Yun'er spoke, she turned around and went into the kitchen. She first prepared hot water for Liang Xinxi. After waiting for Liang Xinzi to finish bathing, she also took a bath herself. She felt much more comfortable. Probably because she was too tired. Zhao Yun'er immediately fell asleep as soon as she got on the bed. The next morning, she woke up to Liang Jinxiao's call. The mother and daughter pair busied themselves with preparing for the banquet. Chapter 1768. He had been preparing since early in the morning. By the time it was 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning, there were already guests arriving at his house. Almost everyone in the village had come for this banquet, so there were a lot of people and a lot of banquets. It was even grander than Zhao Pinger's wedding. Mu Lan and Mu Hin were good workers, and Qian Zhuzhui was even more so. Li Chuiying hadn't done much work before, but this time, She could help out a little. She was washing the dishes. Feng Zhangxia originally didn't plan to come, but Xin Pan reminded her. Mother, why are you sitting in the courtyard instead of helping Yun'er's family with the banquet? Xin Pan walked into the courtyard and asked. Feng Zhangxia carried Zhao Yangyang in her arms and replied to Xin Pan. What's there to help with? Mother is taking care of Yangyang at home. Mother, if you don't help, who will help with the banquet when second brother holds his wedding? If we hire a chef, we'll have to spend money. If Yun'er can cook, won't we save money on hiring a chef? After hearing Xin Pan's words, Feng Zhangxia thought for a moment and felt that Xin Pan's words made sense. Pan, you're right. Mother will go and help now. Take Yangyang with you. Xin Pan nodded and said, Got it, Mother. After the banquet, Mother will ask your third aunt for some food and bring it back for you guys. Okay, Mother. Feng Zhangxia said, and ran over to Zhao Yun'er's house. It was already 8 or 9 o'clock. Zhao Yun'er's house had probably finished a lot of work, so she shouldn't have to do too much work if she went over to help now. After arriving at Zhao Yun'er's house, Feng Zhangxia saw Zhao Yun'er and said with a fake smile, Yun'er, I'm also here to help you. What work do you need me to do? I had something to do at home in the morning, so I only found time to come over now. Zhao Yun'er glanced at Feng Zhangxia indifferently. How could she believe Feng Zhangxia's nonsense? It was obvious that Feng Zhangxia had no sincerity in helping. Now that she had thought it through, she came over. Auntie, my family has a lot of people. You can rest, you don't need to help. Feng Zhangxia, however, had a serious expression on her face as she said, How can that be? Holding a banquet is a big matter. Wouldn't it be faster if we had more people? Zhao Yun'er replied faintly, Why do we need to do it so quickly? It's not like we're in a hurry. Hearing Zhao Yun'er's words, Feng Zhangxia felt a little resentful. Yun'er, eldest aunt is here to help you. Why are you talking like that? Hearing the disappointment and complaint in Feng Zhangxia's voice, Zhao Yun'er smiled and asked sarcastically, Auntie, isn't it a good thing that you're not allowed to work? Could it be that eldest aunt likes to work? Isn't this a big matter for your family? There's strength in numbers. We're still a family, so naturally we want to help. When your second cousin gets married, you and your mother will definitely go over to help, right? Feng Zhangxia's hint was obvious. A look of understanding flashed across Zhao Yun'er's eyes. She was wondering why her eldest aunt was so kind as to come over to help. It turned out that she wanted her and her mother to help Zhao Tianhu's marriage. This calculation was really good. Feng Zhangxia could gain a big advantage. Chapter 1769. Waiting for Zhao Tianhu to get married was such a big event. If their family didn't reach out to help, it would be unreasonable. Since Feng Zhangxia came to help with this idea, and she would definitely help in the future. If she didn't let Feng Zhangxia help now, wouldn't it be letting her off easy? So Zhao Yun'er called Feng Zhangxia. Eldest aunt is right. Why don't eldest aunt help wash the dishes? Feng Zhangxia giggled and responded by letting her wash the dishes. After that, Feng Qingxia spoke to Zhao Yun'er in a negotiating tone. Yun'er girl, washing dishes hurts my hands. Eldest aunt's hands have been dry and cracked recently, so I can't do this kind of work. How about I help you cut vegetables and do something else? Hearing the calculation in Feng Zhangxia's tone, Zhao Yun'er unhappily replied, Then why don't eldest aunt not help? Feng Zhangxia's heart tightened. She was afraid that Zhao Yun'er would turn around and not help her family. She smiled embarrassedly. That's fine. I'll go wash the dishes, Zhao Yun'er withdrew the coldness in her eyes and turned to enter the kitchen. The most painful thing about holding a banquet on a hot day was that after working in the kitchen for a while, one would be drenched in sweat and feel uncomfortable all over. Their clothes would stick to their bodies, causing them to feel itchy from time to time. No matter how uncomfortable her body was, Zhao Yun'er still had to endure through this banquet. When she returned home to hold another banquet, she would have to invite a chef back. At worst, she would have to spend some money, but she would be much more relaxed. Now that the emperor had rewarded her with a lot of treasures, under normal circumstances, she wouldn't be able to spend them all. Since that was the case, it was better to enjoy more. After all, Money couldn't be brought with you when you were born, and neither could you take it with you when you die. There was no meaning in saving it in her hands. At around 10 o'clock, many guests had already arrived. Everyone in the village gathered together and chatted with each other. Many people scurried around Zhao Yun'er's house and looked at the imposing house of Zhao Yun'er's family. The people from the Liang clan also came over, but none of them had the intention to help. Zhao Yun'er did not count on these people at all. Each and every one of them was too lazy to die. How could she think of how these people could help her? Mother, how was your rest at eldest sister's place last night? Liang Jinshun went up to old Madame Liang and asked with concern. Old Madame Liang smiled. It's very good. This brick house is much more comfortable than our thatched house. At night, Yun'er helped to smoke something. Even the mosquitoes are gone. I slept directly until dawn. It's not like at home, where I have to be woken up in the middle of the night. After hearing old Madame Liang's words, Liang Jinshun pursed his lips and said, Mother, that's for sure. How can our thatched house compare to eldest sister's brick house? Wu Zhenju said with a jealous tone. Mother, since you say that eldest sister's house is so good, why don't you stay at eldest sister's house in the future? It's much more comfortable than our house, and you won't have to go back home and torment yourself. Liang Jinhui glared at Wu Zhenju. What are you saying, woman? Eldest brother and I are both here. Mother, how can it be her turn to stay at eldest sister's house? In ancient times, a married daughter was like spilled water. Generally, parents had sons to take care of them in old age. If a son was here, but the daughter had to take care of them in old age, the son would be criticized behind his back in ancient times. Liang Jinshun and Liang Jinhui were both grown men. They usually had a lot of face, so how could they allow others to say that they were not filial? Chapter 1770. Feng Zhangxia also chimed in from behind. Second sister-in-law's words aren't unreasonable. Our mother doesn't sleep well at home. There are a lot of mosquitoes in the summer, so she can't sleep well at night. Mother's body isn't as good as before. If she can stay at eldest sister's house for a while, her body will definitely slowly recover. Old Madame Liang wasn't feeling well these days, so all the work had to be handed over to her two daughters-in-law. From time to time, her daughters-in-law had to take care of her. After Feng Zhangxia and Wu Zhenju took care of her for a period of time, they more or less felt a little annoyed in their hearts. Not to mention other things, old Madame Liang still needed their help to bathe every night. In addition, they had to take care of her feces and urine every day, which was very disgusting. If old Madame Liang lived at Liang Jinxiao's house, these chores would naturally be handed over to Liang Jinxiao. The two sisters-in-law wouldn't have to do these chores. Wu Zhenju muttered, That's right. Now that eldest sister's family is living such a good life, the family is so rich, and they don't care. They have one more mouth to feed. Eldest sister is also mother's daughter. Mother's body isn't good, so what's wrong with eldest sister being filial? Do you have to see mother suffer with us before you feel happy? After listening to Guo Caixia and Wu Zhenju's words, Liang Jinshun and Liang Jinhui both felt that it was somewhat reasonable. Their mother would definitely live more comfortably with Liang Jinxiao than at home. Not to mention food and drink, of course, sleeping at night was also much better. Mother, why don't we discuss it with eldest sister and let you stay here for a while? When the weather is cooler, our house isn't so hot, and there aren't so many mosquitoes, then we'll take you back. Liang Jinshun said to old Madame Liang in a negotiating tone. Old Madame Liang frowned. How can we do that? We'll trouble your eldest sister's family. I've never seen an old woman in our village go to live with her daughter for a period of time. It's fine if it's only 2 or 3 days, but it's not good if it's too long. Guo Caixia persuaded. Mother, the situation is different. The people in our village is very poor. They'll feel distressed if they have one more mouth to feed. But eldest sister's family is different. Big sister's family has so much money now. It doesn't matter if you join in. That's right, Mother. This also depends on the situation. I see that eldest sister is filial. If we talk to her, she will definitely agree. If she doesn't agree, then forget it. We should at least try to ask, right? What if big sister E is willing to let you stay? Wu Zhenju spared no effort in persuading him. She thought that if old Madame Liang didn't come home, she could save a lot of trouble every day. Old Madame Liang had lived for so many years. The salt she had eaten was more than the grain her two daughters-in-law had eaten. How could she not understand? Old Madame Liang felt a little stifled when she thought about it. She had lived for so long, but now that she was old and uncomfortable, she was despised by her daughter-in-law. After all, a daughter was not like her biological daughter. Her biological daughter would naturally not treat her like this. The more old Madame Liang thought about it, the more upset she felt. If the two daughters-in-law really didn't like her, then she could only trouble her daughter. After a period of time, when the weather was not so hot and her body recovered, she would naturally not have to trouble her two daughters-in-law. At that time, she could go back and avoid being despised. She was just a little embarrassed to trouble her daughter's family. Fortunately, she saw the attitude of Liang Jinxiao's family last night. They were all easy to get along with, and did not despise her at all. Old Madame Liang finally relaxed and said, "All right then, I'll discuss it with Qiao later. But if she doesn't agree, I can't be thick-skinned and refuse." Chapter 1771. Old Madame Liang faintly replied, "In." Guo Caixia and Wu Zhenju looked at each other. The two sisters-in-law understood what the other was thinking. Old Madame Liang only felt stifled. She didn't know what was the point of raising a son. If he met a bad wife, he would rather have a daughter. In any case, a daughter was considerate and could say anything. How could a daughter-in-law treat you sincerely like a daughter? Old Madame Liang's heart was stifled for a moment. She was too lazy to continue thinking about these messy things. At this time, Liang Xinzi walked in from another room. At first, no one noticed, but when Liang Xinzi called out, they realized that the beautiful figure who had walked in was Liang Xinzi. Guo Caixia saw her daughter's appearance after changing her clothes, and her eyes flashed with a trace of amazement. Normally, when she saw Liang Xinzi wearing coarse clothes, she didn't feel that she looked very good. Wearing this light blue silk dress, she felt that her entire person was much fairer. Especially her figure, it was very graceful. Guo Caixia pulled Liang Xinzi around in a circle. "Iozier, your clothes look really good. It's very different from what you usually wear." Sure enough, people rely on clothes and Buddha relies on gold. If you dress up properly, you can still be considered pretty. Guo Caixia now saw that Liang Xinzi and Liang Xinyue were not inferior to Liang Xinyue when they stood together. Instead, she felt that Liang Xinzi looked a bit better. After being praised by Guo Caixia, Liang Xinzi shyly lowered her head and muttered to Guo Caixia, "Mother, really? Of course it's true. It's really beautiful. Girls should wear this kind of dress. It's a pity that our family doesn't have that much money. Otherwise, we would have made a few for you." Liang Xinzi's smile became even sweeter. Which girl didn't like being praised for their beauty? The more ordinary a person's appearance was, the more they liked being praised. Only then did Liang Xinyu notice what Liang Xinzi was wearing. She was wearing a light blue dress. It looked beautiful and otherworldly. Girls liked it very much. However, Liang Xinyue knew that this kind of dress was very expensive. Country bumpkins like them couldn't afford to wear it. Country bumpkins already had problems eating. It was good enough that they could wear new clothes. How could they care about other things? Many of them were wearing clothes that were patched countless times. Seeing that Liang Xinzi was suddenly dressed so well, and looked so much better than her, Liang Xinyue couldn't help but feel jealous. She then mocked Liang Xinzi. "Cousin Zier, where did you steal these clothes from?" Liang Xinzi's expression immediately darkened, and she snapped back at Liang Xinyue. "What are you saying? Who stole it? If you didn't steal it, then where did you get your clothes? Cousin Yun lent it to lend it to Liang Xinzi's." Liang Xinyue was slightly stunned. How can she have such beautiful clothes? And he was willing to lend it to you. Then why doesn't she wear it herself? Liang Xinzi said coldly. Now that eldest aunt's family is so rich, isn't it normal for cousin Yunair to have these nice clothes? She has to work, so she wears coarse clothes. Otherwise, wouldn't it be a pity to wear this kind of clothes and get dirty? Liang Xinyue bit her lower lip. Although she understood this reasoning, when she thought of Zhao Yun'er's nice clothes, Liang Xinyue's jealousy grew stronger. Chapter 1772. Liang Xinji was angered by Liang Xinyue. This woman was deliberately finding fault with her and picking on her. Her words were really unpleasant. "You're the one who's shameless. You're just jealous that my cousin is good to me and lent me the clothes." Liang Xinji retorted angrily. Liang Xinyue bit her lower lip and said sarcastically to Liang Xinji, "Humph. No matter how beautiful the clothes are, they'll be ruined on you. You're so ugly. It's useless no matter how you dress up. You're too much." Liang Xinji glared at Liang Xinyue angrily. This woman only knew how to use her appearance to criticize her. Although she wasn't as beautiful as Liang Xinyue, she wasn't considered ugly, right? Now that she was dressed up like this, she felt pretty good. Guo Caixia couldn't bear to see her daughter being bullied, so she reprimanded Wu Zhenju, second sister-in-law. "Look at what kind of daughter you've raised. How could she say such things about my Zier?" Wu Zhenju was also protective of his own. "My Yuer girl didn't say anything wrong. Zier's appearance isn't as good as my Yuer's. Even so, you can't scold her like this. My girl, even if she's not as good looking, shouldn't she be dressed in beautiful clothes? How can you say that she's ruined?" Wu Zhenju's mouth twitched a few times, and he said lightly, "Isn't this a child's play? It's no big deal to bicker. Sister-in-law, why are you fussing over this?" Guo Caixia rolled her eyes. "Second sister-in-law, it's easy for you to say. How is this bickering? Your girl is clearly—" Before Guo Caixia could finish, old Madame Liang immediately interrupted. All right. All you know is when you'll stop quarreling. It's one thing to quarrel at home, but this is your sister's house. Aren't you afraid that others will laugh at you if they hear you?" Old Madame Liang felt a wave of annoyance in her heart. She was old and liked peace and quiet. Every day at home, she had to listen to her two daughters-in-law quarreling. It was so noisy that her head hurt. Staying at her daughter's house last night was indeed much quieter. If she could stay there for a period of time, she could also take a breather and not have to listen to her two daughters-in-law's quarrel. Guo Caixia and Wu Zhenju both shut their mouths angrily. In the kitchen, Zhao Yun'er was very busy. At this time, Zhao Wenhua, Zhao Tianhu, and Zhao Tianan himself had already arrived at the village and borrowed the tables and chairs. When it was close to 11 o'clock in the afternoon, almost everyone had arrived. Zhao Yun'er began to prepare for the banquet. Everyone sat down. There were 8 people in each seat. Excluding the children, there were exactly 2 people on each side. Several men from old Zhao's house came over to drink wine. Before the banquet started, Hu Chunhua went to Zhao Yun'er's kitchen and said to Zhao Yun'er, "Yun'er, when you're cooking later, leave a few good dishes for me. I'll bring them back for your aunt to eat later." Before Zhao Yun'er could refuse, Hu Chunhua hurriedly explained, "Yun'er, don't worry. Your aunt just doesn't like the food I cook and wants to eat yours. We won't take your food for free. We'll pay for it. Here's 1 tael of silver. Take it. It should be enough to buy your food, right?" Zhao Yun'er glanced at Hu Chunhua. Now she knew how to be tactful and didn't want to take it for free. "Okay, I'll leave some good dishes," Zhao Yun'er said as she took the silver from Hu Chunhua's hand. Chapter 1773. Hu Chunhua didn't expect that Zhao Yun'er would really take the tael of silver. She was just saying it, and thought that Zhao Yun'er wouldn't really take it. She had underestimated Zhao Yun'er. With Zhao Yun'er's calculative personality, how could she not accept her money? Hu Chunhua felt a little sad as she watched the tael of silver fall into Zhao Yun'er's hands. Her heart ached terribly. After all, 1 tael of silver could buy a lot of things. A jin of meat was only 15 copper coins. 1 tael of silver could buy dozens of jin of meat. If they ate meat every day, they wouldn't be able to finish it even after a few months. This girl accepted it with a clear conscience. Seeing that Hu Chunhua was still standing in the kitchen, Zhao Yun'er raised her eyebrows and asked, "Grandmother, why haven't you left yet? What are you doing in my kitchen?" Hu Chunhua pursed her lips and put away the distressed expression on her face. She said to Zhao Yun'er, I'll leave now. After Hu Chunhua left the kitchen, Zhao Yun'er couldn't help but laugh. Seeing that Zhao Yun'er suddenly laughed, Liang Jinxiao asked curiously, "Yun'er, what are you laughing at?" "I'm laughing at grandmother's distressed expression. How can she not be happy to get one tael of silver for free?" Liang Jinxiao was amused by Zhao Yun'er. "I thought what you were laughing at. So it's this." "Mother, here's the money," Zhao Yun'er said as she stuffed one tael of silver into Liang Jinxiao's hands. Liang Jinxiao smiled and helped Zhao Yun'er keep it. If it was in the past, it would be harder to get one tael of silver out of Hua Chunhua's hands than to reach the heavens. Now that Zhao Xinhui was married to young Master Meng, the family was rich, so it was not as rare as before. However, Liang Jinxiao always felt that no matter how rich he was, he should not waste it casually. If something were to happen, it was always good to have more money in hand. When the time came, they would have emergency funds. The mother and daughter continued to work in the kitchen. At this time, Zhao Ping'er and her family also came over. She originally thought that at most only Zhao Ping'er and Qin Yuan would come to drink. Under normal circumstances, only one person would come. Zhao Yun'er knew that Zhao Ping'er liked to take advantage of others, so she dispersed the two of them when arranging their seats. However, he did not expect Zhao Ping'er and her family to come along, including Mr. and Mrs. Qin, as well as that fool Qin Chuan. When Zhao Wenhua saw this situation, he immediately felt troubled and did not know what to do. "Father, are there any seats left? Let us sit down. You can't expect us to stand, right?" Zhao Ping'er and her family came relatively late. By the time they arrived, all the seats had been taken. "This doesn't seem to be enough," Zhao Wenhua muttered. Zhao Ping'er pursed her lips and said, "Father, how can that be? Unimportant people can sit, but our family came all the way here. How can we not have a seat?" Zhao Ping'er grumbled unhappily. "But you didn't say that your family would come. We didn't arrange a seat for you." Zhao Wenhua frowned and explained. Zhao Ping'er was much more stubborn. She said to Zhao Wenhua, "Father, I don't care. You have to arrange a seat for us." Zhao Wenhua looked troubled. "Wait a moment. Father will think of a way." Chapter 1774. Zhao Wenhua wandered around and looked around, but he still could not find an empty seat. There were more people than he expected. Some of them came on the same day and brought money as gifts. How could he not let them sit down and eat? Many of the tables had 2 extra people. Now that Zhao Ping'er and her family were seated, it was indeed too crowded. After wandering around and finding that there were no extra seats, Zhao Wenhua went to Zhao Ping'er and discussed with Zhao Ping'er. "Ping'er, there really aren't enough seats. Why don't you bring your in-laws and sit with your uncle?" Zhao Ping'er glanced at where the Liang family was sitting. They had already prepared so much. How could the 5 of them sit down? How could they squeeze more than 10 people into a table? "Father, are you joking? How can we fit so many people?" "Then what should we do? We don't have that many tables at home. Also, we only prepared these tables for the banquet. We can't do anything about it if we don't squeeze," Zhao Wenhua said helplessly. However, Zhao Ping'er did not give up. "Father, are you doing this on purpose? Why is it that everyone else has a seat, but our family doesn't have a seat?" Zhao Wenhua was helpless against Zhao Ping'er. He was already busy today and was a little flustered. Before he could sort out his thoughts, Zhao Ping'er came to him and made a fuss. Zhao Wenhua sighed and continued to explain. "Ping'er, didn't they come first and you came later? They already found a seat and sat down. I can't possibly chase them away now, right? They might say that our family's host was not polite, and the villagers might criticize us." It was not that Zhao Ping'er did not understand, but Zhao Ping'er was unwilling to compromise. "Father, what do you think we should do now? Don't tell me we can't sit down and eat. If you don't serve them well, my mother-in-law's family will definitely make trouble for me. Father, do you want to see me suffer?" After hearing Zhao Ping'er's words, Zhao Wenhua pondered for a moment. It was useless for him to discuss it with Zhao Ping'er now. He had to discuss it with the family Qin first. However, looking at the Qin family members, it was clear that they were unwilling to compromise. "Father, go and discuss it with Yun'er. See if we can put together another table for the banquet. We can arrange for you to sit at a new table. That should work, right? Only then did Zhao Ping'er respond. Father, then you should go quickly. Okay. Zhao Wenhua as he spoke and walked towards the kitchen. Yun! Zhao Yunlong called out to Zhao Yin'er. Father, what's the matter? Zhao Wenhua rubbed his hands together and explained the situation to Zhao Yin'er somewhat embarrassedly. Yin'er, the seating arrangement outside is indeed a little tight. Why don't we add another table for the banquet? We can't treat Ping'er's in-laws too well. They might complain later. Zhao Yin'er frowned when she saw Zhao Wenhua's honest look. Zhao Ping'er, that be *tch, actually had the nerve to bring her whole family over. It was already polite of her to let him and Qin Yuan come over for the banquet. He did not expect this family to be so thick-skinned. Chapter 1775. This, Zhao Wenhua frowned. If he were to tell Zhao Ping'er that, who knew how Zhao Ping'er would kick up a fuss later, if he had known that so many people would come, he would have prepared an extra table in advance. When he made the arrangements, he didn't think too much about it. He was afraid that if he arranged an extra table, there wouldn't be so many people coming, and the dishes on the table would go to waste. After all, it was very hot in this season, and fresh dishes couldn't be preserved for that long. What's wrong, father? Zhao Yin'er asked when she saw Zhao Wenhua's troubled expression. Zhao Wenhua sighed and said, I'm afraid that Ping'er will kick up a fuss again. I'll tell her slowly later. That girl's temper is very stubborn. Zhao Yin'er felt stifled in her heart. She really had to hand it to that be *tch Zhao Ping'er. With Zhao Wenhua's personality, Zhao Ping'er was only domineering in front of her parents, but she was as attentive as a dog when it came to family Qin people. If she let Zhao Wenhua go out, Zhao Ping'er might make things difficult for him again. Zhao Yin'er took a deep breath and said to Zhao Wenhua, Father, let me go out and talk. Zhao Ping'er couldn't act rashly in front of her. She wasn't as easy to negotiate with as Zhao Wenhua. Zhao Wenhua nodded. It was naturally better for Zhao Yin'er to talk. Yin'er was quick-witted. If she talked to Zhao Ping'er, she might listen. Zhao Yin'er put down the spatula and walked out of the courtyard. Zhao Ping'er was originally hoping that Zhao Wenhua would come out. However, when she saw Zhao Yin'er come out with a cold face, Zhao Ping'er's heart suddenly tightened, and she was a little scared. Where's father? Zhao Ping'er asked weakly. Zhao Yin'er sneered. Why are you looking for father? I asked my father to arrange a seat for me. Zhao Ping'er blurted out guiltily. There's only enough space for 2 people. You brought a whole family here at once, so there's no way for all of you to sit down. Zhao Yin'er replied snappily. Zhao Ping'er blushed and said unhappily, Then what should we do? Since we're already here, you can't just let us go, right? That's your business. Who would bring so many people to a banquet? We're already being polite by preparing 2 seats for you. Sit if you want. But Dad said that he would open another table for me. Zhao Ping'er was a little unwilling and bit her lower lip. You also said that it was Dad who said that. I didn't agree to this. There are only so many ingredients at home. How can he open another table just because he said so? Zhao Yin'er's attitude became even colder. Seeing that Zhao Yin'er had no room for discussion, Zhao Ping'er could only hope that Zhao Wenhua would hurry out. Unfortunately, Zhao Wenhua was hiding in the kitchen and had no intention of coming out. Zhao Ping'er instantly became anxious. The Qin couple seemed to have realized that something was wrong with Zhao Ping'er's situation and walked over. They said to Zhao Ping'er in a somewhat dissatisfied tone, Ping'er, why can't we sit down yet? The guests are already done. We've been doing this for a long time. Your father and I are both old and our legs aren't nimble. How can we stand for so long? Sigh, my feet are already hurting from all this talking. Hearing Mu Chuanfang's complaints, Zhao Ping'er pursed her lips and said, Mom, you guys can stand and rest for a while. You'll be able to sit down in a while. I'm discussing with little sister Yin'er. Mu Chunfang glanced at Zhao Yin'er and muttered, Girl, where are your parents? Why aren't they entertaining me? We're in-laws. How can they let their in-laws stand? Chapter 1776. That in-laws family had the nerve to come over with their whole family. To put it bluntly, it was because they saw that their family was rich and wanted to take advantage of them. Previously, they had treated them well because they wanted Zhao Ping to get married. Now that Zhao Ping this weirdo was finally kicked out, they did not have to be as polite to the family Qin people as before. Auntie's words are really interesting. Didn't you see that my parents are busy with the banquet? How would they have time to entertain you? Mu Chuanfang's face instantly turned red. No matter how busy they are, they can't not even come out to greet us. And they even made us stand here for so long. It's not polite. Auntie's whole family came over for a meal. Is it polite? Who would bring their whole family to a banquet? And they didn't even greet us. How could we arrange so many seats? The seats are already full. At most, we can squeeze in 2 people. Why don't you all go back? Otherwise, there won't be any seats. You can just stand here and eat. Zhao Yin'er said bluntly. There was no need to be polite to these weirdos. It was fine to offend the family Qin people. It was better not to have any dealings with these weirdos in the future. They would only be at a disadvantage if they did. This. How can this be? Even if we're not relatives, we're still in-laws. We came all the way here. So how can we go back now? It's not polite to stand and eat. Mu Chunfang complained, expressing her dissatisfaction. Qin Dahai, who was standing at the side, also spoke up. Little girl, aren't we at the Qin family's place? That's why we didn't treat you as an outsider and came over with our whole family. Now that you're asking us to leave, does that mean you don't want to see us anymore? Our families won't interact with each other in the future? Zhao Yin'er could tell that these people were deliberately making things difficult for them. She chuckled and said, Yes, there's no need to interact with each other in the first place. Mu Chunfang and Qin Dahai were slightly stunned. You? What do you mean? Your parents didn't even say that. How can you say that? Zhao Ping was also angry. Zhao Yin'er, are you trying to sow discord between my parents and me? Mu Chunfang sneered and said sarcastically, I don't think she's trying to sow discord. She's just looking down on us poor relatives. Hee. Now that our family is rich and has built such a nice house, we don't need to interact with each other. Qin Dahai too. Zhao Yin'er rolled her eyes. These people really have a lot of ideas. However, it was none of her business what they thought. What right do you have for our family to look down on you? To put it bluntly, my parents don't even want to bother with Zhao Ping They're already being very polite by letting her come today. If you want to cause trouble, I don't mind serving you with my fists. Zhao Yin'er said coldly with a hint of impatience and viciousness in her eyes. Someone saw the situation and hurriedly advised the Qin couple. Hey, don't offend Yin. To put it bluntly, if you make her unhappy, Lord Heir has ways to deal with you. Do you still dare to provoke Lord Heir's people? Chapter 1777. If Mu Lianfeng were to get angry and find a reason to cause trouble for them, it would be a piece of cake. It was not worth it to suffer in the future just to argue with Zhao Yin'er. Qin Dahai tugged at the corner of Mu Chuanfang's clothes and whispered into Mu Chuanfang's ear. Yuaner's mother, I think we should just forget about it. Let's not talk about it anymore, lest we really get into trouble. Mu Chunfang pursed his lips and could only reply, Okay. Seeing the Qin couple's arrogance instantly diminish, Zhao Yin'er's lips curled up. It seemed like Mu Lianfeng's identity was useful to her. It could be used to scare people on a daily basis. Zhao Ping bit her lower lip and glared at Zhao Yin'er. Although she wanted to flare up, she did not dare to casually make a scene. Not to mention that Zhao Yin'er would personally make a move on her. Even if Little Black were to come out and bite her, wouldn't that make her cry to the heavens and the earth? Pinger, little girl, your parents and I are already so old. We can't stand. Since there are only 2 seats available, then your father and I will sit. You Yuan and Chuan can stand at the side and eat. Mu Chunfang said to Zhao Ping. His tone did not have any intention of discussion, as he directly ordered Zhao Ping. Although Zhao Ping was unwilling to stand while eating, she had no choice. She could not possibly let Mu Chunfang and Qin Dahai stand, right? Zhao Yin'er's understanding of family Qin people deepened. She had already humiliated them like this. Could it be that these people could not be more unyielding and just leave? However, they still chose to stay and drink. In the end, it was because of their nature to take advantage of others that they could not bear to miss out on a banquet. Zhao Yun'er felt that such people were hateful and helpless. Right now, she did not have the energy to torment these people. As long as they did not cause trouble, everything would be fine. The Qin couple went to the Liang family's table and sat down. The children weren't at the table, but the adults. Even girls like Liang Xinyue and Su Lady could only make do with some food. Even so, the table was still very crowded. When the people of the Liang family saw the Qin couple coming over, a trace of disdain appeared in their eyes. In their impression, they still thought that the Qin family was poor. Sigh, anyone can sit at the table. Seriously. What can we do? Eldest sister and brother-in-law are both good-tempered people. Their eyes are mine. I won't let this kind of people come over. He's just a beggar. It's really bad luck to have such a relative. The Qin people's attitude made the Qin couple lose face. But they couldn't make a fuss with these people, so they could only endure it. After all, their Qin was still very poor compared to other people. If they quarreled now, their family would be kicked out by Zhao Yun'er's family. In the afternoon, they couldn't even eat lunch. Their stomachs were really hungry. They had to eat a banquet. In any case, they had to eat a good meal. Otherwise, wouldn't they have made a wasted trip? Seeing that almost everyone had arrived, Zhao Yun'er prepared to serve the banquet. The dishes had already been cut and mixed, so it was very fast. In a short while, the dishes were brought to the table, and the people in the large courtyard began to eat happily. Zhao Yun'er's culinary skills naturally didn't need to be said. Everyone ate abnormally happily. Those who were not at the table ate the unfinished dishes in the kitchen. Chapter 1778. After busying herself for several hours, the banquet was finally over. After the banquet, the guests left in twos and threes, leaving only a few large tables with bowls and chopsticks. Upon seeing this, Zhao Yun'er knew that there was going to be a lot of work to do. Her head hurt a little. Compared to cooking, Zhao Yun'er hated dealing with these things after the banquet more. Many of the villagers had poor manners and made a mess of the table. Many of them chewed their food and spat it out on the table without swallowing it. As for the men, many of them drank. Some of them vomited and had diarrhea when they were drunk, making a mess of the tables, chairs, and the floor. Originally, she didn't feel tired after the banquet. But after seeing these things, Zhao Yun'er instinctively wanted to escape, but she was too embarrassed to just leave these chores to others. After the banquet, she wasn't the only one who was tired. The others also had a lot of work to do. Yun'er, go and rest. Mother will do the rest. Liang Jinxiao wiped the beads of sweat on her forehead and said to Zhao Yun'er with a smile. Zhao Yun'er saw that Liang Jinxiao was also exhausted. She smiled and said, Mother, let's all rest for a while and work together later. Oh right, we didn't have time to eat just now. Let's eat together now. Liang Jinxiao responded, Okay, let's eat first. Your eldest aunt and second aunt haven't eaten yet. There's also Mulan and Muhin. Then let's eat together. Zhao Yun'er called out, and moved a clean small table out of the house. A few people who were originally busy gathered at the table, and began to eat. The dishes were all leftovers from the banquet, and many of them were meat dishes. Feng Zhangxia happily came forward. Originally, she thought that eating at the table was good, but now she felt that eating after the banquet was good too. She didn't have to fight with others at the table. There was only one plate of good dishes. She took a look just now, and saw that many of the women at the table were fighting over a plate of good food. They even cursed at each other. If she was at the table, she would definitely be the same. Now they didn't even have to fight for food. They could just pick the best ones. While eating, Feng Zhangxia discussed with Zhao Yun'er. Yun'er, there's so much leftover food in your house. It'll be a waste if we can't finish it. Can I bring some for your cousin-in-law later? Zhao Yun'er was speechless when she saw the greed in Feng Zhangxia's eyes. The whole family had come over to eat, and they were still thinking of bringing some back. Seeing that Zhao Yun'er didn't say anything, Feng Zhangxiao explained angrily. Hey, I came here to help you. Panner doesn't know how to cook. I'm afraid it's too late to cook now. She must be starving. Okay, sister-in-law, you can bring some to Panner later. There are still a lot of good dishes in the kitchen, Liang Jinxiao said to Feng Zhangxia. Feng Zhangxia responded happily, as if she had picked up a big bargain. Zhao Yin'er didn't say anything. She was so tired that she didn't even have the energy to argue. Li Chuiying, on the other hand, was much more low-key. He buried himself in eating, and didn't say anything about bringing some for the children at home. If it was before, with Li Chuiying's temper, he would definitely find her, and ask her to bring some back. Chapter 1779. Li Chuiying was a little embarrassed. This, Yin, how can I bring it back? You can keep it for a few days at home. It's okay. It's not a big deal. You don't have to cook for Tianyu and Jing. Or when you go back. Feng Zhangxia hurriedly agreed. Second sister-in-law, since Yin'er has said so, why are you still refusing? Only then did Li Chuiying respond. Then I'll put some on later. Okay. They finished their meal quickly. Zhao Yin'er touched her stomach. She didn't know if it was because she was full, but she still felt a little sleepy. After Feng Zhangxia finished eating, she ran to the kitchen happily. She hurriedly picked up the dishes she had picked up and piled them in a bowl. Li Chuiying didn't move. Zhao Yun looked at Li Chuiying in confusion. Second aunt, why don't you do it? There's no hurry. Let eldest sister-in-law finish picking first. You can just pack whatever you like. Later, I'll ask eldest sister-in-law to bring it back for me, Li Chuiying said with a smile. Zhao Yin'er was even more confused. Second aunt, aren't you going back? The table at home hasn't been cleaned yet. How can you and mother be busy? That's why I'll stay and help you out. Hearing Li Chuiying's words, Zhao Yin'er was slightly touched. So many people didn't want to help. It was not easy for Li Chuiying to think of this. It's okay, second aunt. You've been busy the whole day. It's not right to make you busy again. Zhao Yin'er declined. How can you be so polite with me? It's okay. I have nothing to do at home anyway. I've eaten and brought food to your house. If I don't help you out, I'll feel bad, Li Chuiying insisted. Zhao Yin'er saw Li Chuiying's sincere face. She didn't mean to help. If she refused, it would seem that she made the relationship between them too estranged. Zhao Yin'er thought for a moment and agreed. Okay, then I'll have to trouble you again later, Li Chuiying said with a smile. You silly girl, why are you so polite? I'm not helping you for nothing this time. I'm eating and taking food. I'll feel bad if I don't do anything. Li Chuiying's words were honest. Normal people would feel the same way. If it was Zhao Yin'er, she would also try her best to help others do more work. However, when Feng Zhangxia heard Li Chuiying's words, she felt that she was embarrassed. Didn't she eat and take food too? Moreover, she was counting on Zhao Yin'er to help her family hold banquets in the future. If she stayed and continued to help Zhao Yin'er, she should be better than Li Chuiying. But when she glanced at the leftover bowls and chopsticks on the table, Feng Zhangxia immediately deflated. Cleaning up these things was more tiring than the work she had done earlier. The table was covered in greasy and dirty things. They might even stain her clothes. She really didn't want to do this work anymore. Feng Zhangxia smiled embarrassedly and said to Zhao Yin'er hypocritically, Hey Yin'er, if I have time, I'd like to continue helping you out and finish the rest of the work. But I'm in a hurry to go back and bring food to area. My eldest grandson can't live without me. I'm afraid it'll be difficult to take care of him alone. I have to go back and help Pan or take a breather. Chapter 1780. Who didn't know how to say nice things? The key was whether or not she was sincere in helping. Feng Zhangxia was just being hypocritical. Anyway, she didn't expect Feng Zhangxia to really help her, so she simply ignored Feng Zhangxia. Feng Zhangxia was a little resentful and looked a little embarrassed. She glanced at Zhao Yin'er's expression and saw that Zhao Yin'er didn't seem very happy. She couldn't help but feel a little worried. Sister-in-law, you should go back. The few of us are enough. Liang Jinxiao saw that Zhao Yin'er didn't say anything, so she replied. She wasn't a fool. How could she not see that Feng Zhangxia didn't want to help? However, this wasn't a big deal. They didn't have a close relationship, so how could she expect others to be considerate of her family's matters? Feng Zhangxia twitched the corner of her mouth and glanced at Zhao Yin. She held the bowl in her hand and laughed. Okay, then I'll go back first. Otherwise, the children at home will be hungry if they wait for too long. Liang Jinxiao responded faintly. Feng Zhangxia happily held the bowl and walked out of the courtyard. After a while she disappeared. Seeing Feng Zhangxia like that, it seemed that she was afraid that Zhao Yin'er would change her mind and let her stay to help. Zhao Yin'er couldn't help but shake her head. What kind of people were they? After eating, they rested for a while and recovered a lot of strength. They looked a lot more energetic. Let's tidy up, Liang Jinxiao said. Okay. Zhao Yin'er got up and went to the kitchen to take out a few basins. She tidied up the things on the table and the basins. Big sister, let me help you too. Liang Jinyu, who was about to go back, walked to Liang Jinxiao and said to Liang Jinxiao, Little sister, you're very tired from working every day. Today you finally have a drink and can rest. How can I ask you to help? Liang Jinxiao hurriedly waved her hand and refused. However, Liang Jinyu insisted. It's okay, big sister. I'm used to working. Liang Jinxiao looked at Liang Jinyu and said, Well, you can't do anything at home. You have to work in so many fields, but you don't have to work here. Liang Jinxiao looked at Liang Jinyu with pity. Out of all her siblings, her younger sister's life was the most difficult. Especially on this day, it was probably because he worked outside every day, so his whole body was very tanned. Coupled with her shriveled and bony body, she seemed to have aged a lot. Auntie, weren't you in a hurry to go back to work just now? Why are you ignoring your own work and forcing my family to work? My family is very busy. If you're not in a hurry to go back, you can rest by the side and chat with Grandma. Zhao Yin'er couldn't help but speak up. Although she was tired, she didn't mind if others helped her. However, she knew that Liang Jinyu was usually more capable than her. How could she let her help? When old Madame Liang heard Zhao Yin'er's words, she waved her hand at Liang Jinyu. Your Yin'er girl is right. You don't have to toss around anymore. Rest in front of Mother, and accompany Mother to talk a few more words. I left in such a hurry yesterday that I didn't have time to say anything. Liang Jinyu thought for a moment, nodded, and walked towards old Madame Liang. Old Madame Liang saw that her two daughters-in-law, as well as Liang Jinfen, were not eating. Although there were many tables that needed to be cleaned, they were sitting together with their legs crossed and drinking tea leisurely. Chapter 1781. That's right. You should eat some vegetables occasionally. It's not good for your intestines to eat too much greasy food. However, Yin'er's cooking is really good. It's really delicious. Eldest younger sister is really blessed. Blue sky. She can eat Yin'er's cooking every day. This kind of blessing isn't something that everyone can enjoy. There aren't many people like eldest younger sister's family. Not to mention anything else. Just how many people can meet a man like Shiziyi? It's simply like smoke rising from our ancestors' graves. Didn't eldest younger sister's family say that after they built a grave for their ancestors, their family's luck gradually improved? It's only because of the old ancestors' blessing. So it's like that. I knew it. How could there be such good luck? Why didn't this good thing fall on other people's heads? It just had to fall on eldest younger sister's head. So it's because of the old ancestors' blessing. That makes sense. As the few of them discussed, they turned to old Madame Liang and started discussing with her. Mother, since eldest younger sister's family built a grave, and their luck improved a lot, should our family also build a grave? Father's grave has been there for many years, and we haven't renovated it. Liang Jingwei said. Wu Zhenju followed behind and said, Even I think that Yuer's father's words make sense. If father can bless us, perhaps our Yu can be like Yin and find Shiziyi. He's such a rich man with status. After Wu Zhenju finished speaking, he began to look forward to it. If her family could be like Zhao Yin'er's, wouldn't she be able to eat and drink well in the future? After hearing Wu Zhenju's words, Guo Caixia rolled her eyes in her heart. Her second sister-in-law only knew how to have wishful thinking. Did she really think that she could find a good husband like Liang Xinyue and Zhao Yin'er? Such good luck was probably 1 in a million. Old Madame Liang snorted and said without giving any face. You were unfilial when you were alive, and now you're dead. Do you think that building a grave will bless you? It's better to work hard and earn more money. It's more practical. The corner of Liang Jinhui's mouth twitched when he heard old Madame Liang's retort. Although he knew that old Madame Liang was telling the truth, he still replied unwillingly. Mother, we are father's children. How can we not bless our own children? What's the use of working hard these days? You can only earn as much as you need to. His eldest sister's family used to be very diligent, but they were very poor. I was just waiting for your luck to improve. That's how I earned quite a bit of money. Take a look at Xiaomei. Who else works harder than her? But she is the one who lives the poorest. Liang Jinyu lowered her head in embarrassment after being pointed out. Her siblings liked to complain about her family's poverty, but she couldn't do anything about it. Whether they were rich or poor was not something she could decide. She naturally hoped that her family could live a better life, and let her children live a better life. Seeing the disappointment in Liang Jinyu's eyes, old Madame Liang said to Liang Jinhui in annoyance, All right. You only know how to talk nonsense. You people are always thinking about nonsense. Yuer is living a hard life now, but she's willing to work hard. Who knows, she might live better than you in the future. Life is full of ups and downs. Who can say for sure what will happen? Liang Jinhui finally shut his mouth resentfully. Chapter 1782. Liang Jinshun stood up lazily. As he stretched, he mumbled, I'm too full. It's uncomfortable to sit. It's better to get up and walk around. Guo Caixia chimed in. Yes, it's uncomfortable to just sit. It's better to get up and walk around. Liang Jinfen also chimed in. No, I'm too full. It's hard for me to digest all of this. It's been a long time since I've eaten so much. When old Madame Liang saw their expressions, she became angry. They couldn't even do their work properly. When they were eating, they fought so hard for the dishes on the plates. Now that they were full, they were pretending to be obedient. Old Madame Liang looked at the busy Liang Jinxiao and Zhao Yin'er. She said to Liang Jinfen, Since you're uncomfortable sitting, and your stomach is so full, why don't you help your elder sister? Can't you see that she's busy? Your younger sister knows how to help, but you're just sitting there and not moving. Old Madame Liang's words were not only for Liang Jinfen, but also for her two daughters-in-law. She couldn't say it directly to her two daughters-in-law, so she pointed at Liang Jinfen and hinted for her two daughters-in-law to help out. Liang Jinfen was instantly displeased. He pursed his lips and muttered, Mother, I'm here to eat, so I'm a guest. Which host would ask their guests to help out? Old Madame Liang said angrily, Haha, you really think of yourself as a guest. Even if you're a guest, she's still your elder sister. If you can help, you should help. According to what you said, your younger sister is also a guest. How would she know how to help out? To put it bluntly, she's just lazy. Liang Jinfen blushed and complained, Mother, how can you say that? How can I say that? Am I not telling the truth? Mother. Old Madame Liang sighed and said to her two daughters-in-law, As relatives, we should help each other. Look at how busy your elder sister is. Why are all of you just sitting there? Only then did the two daughters-in-law realize that old Madame Liang was hinting for them to help Zhao Yin'er's family. Guo Caixia smiled awkwardly and explained, Mom, it's because we ate too much for lunch. Our stomachs are so bloated that it's inconvenient for us to walk around. But we can't do our work properly. If I go to help eldest sister's family now, I might not be able to help, but instead make things even messier. Old Madame Liang snorted softly. She naturally knew that this was just an excuse from her eldest daughter-in-law. It was rare for Wu Zhenju to stand on the same side as Guo Caixia. He said to old Madame Liang, That's right, Mother. We're all full from eating. How can we still have the strength to help eldest sister's family? It's not like we don't want to help. As soon as Wu Zhenju finished speaking, Liang Xinyue pulled Wu Zhenju and whispered something in Wu Zhenju's ear. Wu Zhenju immediately changed his mind and said to old Madame Liang with a smile, Mother, you're right. We're relatives. As a family, we should help each other. How can we be so distant? I'll go help eldest sister's family now. Wu Zhenju's sudden change in attitude made old Madame Liang somewhat puzzled. What medicine did her second daughter-in-law sell in her throat? Did she really become diligent? What did Liang Xingyue say to Wu Zhenju's ear just now? Chapter 1783. When Wu Zhenju saw old Madame Liang and Guo Caixie's reactions, he twitched the corners of his mouth and felt a little guilty. He was afraid that old Madame Liang and Guo Caixie would see through him. So he quickly turned around and ran in the direction of Liang Jinxiao. When he ran in front of Liang Jinxiao, he politely said to Liang Jinxiao, "Eldest sister, I have nothing to do here, so I'll help you clean up." Liang Jinxiao was stunned and looked at Wu Zhenju suspiciously. If these words came from someone else's mouth, she would feel that it was normal. However, when it came from Wu Zhenju's mouth, she felt that something was wrong. Her second sister-in-law had never been so enthusiastic. Today was the first time. "What's wrong, eldest sister?" Wu Zhenju blinked and asked Liang Jinxiao. Liang Jinxiao came back to her senses and quickly waved her hand. She said to Wu Zhenju, "No need, second sister-in-law. You go and rest. I can handle it. It's so dirty and tiring. How can I let you dry it with your hands? What if your clothes get dirty?" Wu Zhenju gave a fake smile and grabbed the wooden basin from Liang Jinxiao's hand. He minded his own business and cleaned it up. "Oh, eldest sister, what's our relationship? Why are you being so polite with me?" Yang Jinxiao saw this and knew that she couldn't refuse Wu Zhenju's help. She thought about it and sighed. Since Wu Zhenju really wanted to help, then let him be. If she refused too much, it would make the relationship between the two families seem too distant. Zhao Yin'er noticed the movement on Wu Zhenju's side and was also puzzled. Her second aunt was probably scheming something in her heart. However, she would deal with whatever came her way. This Wu Zhenju better hope that he didn't have any bad intentions. Otherwise, with her around, he wouldn't be able to get any benefits. After all, Zhao Yin'er wasn't easy to deal with. It took a long time for the family to clean up the table. Zhao Yin'er didn't throw away the leftovers. Instead, she collected them and gave them to the chickens at home. She didn't have to feed the chickens. Zhao Wenhua and Zhao Tianan returned the clean table to the owner's house. These tables and chairs were all borrowed, so it was best to return them as soon as possible. The bowls and chopsticks had to be cleaned up, but the water in the water tank at home had been used up. Mu Lianfeng took 2 buckets and went to the river to fetch more water. Liang Xingyue looked in the direction where Mu Lianfeng left and followed him eagerly. She didn't have a chance to be alone with the heir apparent. This time, she had to make good use of it. Wu Zhenju was so tired that he was panting. He was already full and tired from working. Now he had to clean up so many bowls and chopsticks at once. He had to wipe the table with all his might. It was a physical task. Wu Zhenju walked in front of Liang Jinxiao fawningly. He wiped the sweat on his forehead and massaged his waist. He smiled and said, "I'm finally done." Liang Jinxiao thanked him. "Second sister-in-law, thank you for your hard work." Wu Zhenju hurriedly waved his hand and said, It's not hard, it's not hard. There's no need to be so polite between us." Liang Xinxiao smiled. She wasn't used to Wu Zhenju's sudden attitude towards her. She felt that something was wrong. The bowls and chopsticks were placed in the basin. Some of them had already been washed. The rest would be washed when Mu Lianfeng came back with the water. Li Chuiying squatted on the ground and washed the dishes alone. Zhao Yin'er sighed. The change in Li Chuiying's personality was slowly being accepted and liked. Chapter 1784. Zhao Yin'er's brows slightly furrowed. Seeing Wu Zhenju's attitude, she knew that it wasn't anything good. Sure enough, Wu Zhenju smiled and shamelessly said, "Yin'er lass, can I discuss something with you?" Zhao Yin'er raised her brows but didn't say anything. Discussing something with her definitely wasn't something good. Zhao Yin'er ignored him, making Wu Zhenju feel very awkward. Zhao Yin'er ignored him, but he couldn't not say anything. So he continued to shamelessly say, "Yin'er lass, didn't you see His Majesty send you so many things yesterday? I saw that there were dozens of bolts of silk and satin. You definitely won't be able to wear them all by yourself. Why don't you give one to my Yuer lass, and let Yuer make a set of beautiful clothes?" You also know that Yue Er is about to have a husband at this age, so she should have a set of good clothes to support her face, right? Zhao Yuner finally understood that Wu Zhenju was so diligent in helping out because he had his eyes on her family's silk and satin. However, this Wu Zhenju's words really didn't have the slightest bit of standard, so others who heard it were very displeased. What did he mean by her family's dozens of bolts of silk and satin? Couldn't be worn all by herself, so that was the reason she had to give them to others. Could it be that she had to be grateful that someone was helping her wear them? What kind of logic was this? The silk and satin bestowed by His Majesty weren't cheap. Zhao Yuner estimated that a bolt of silk and satin would cost dozens of taels of silver. It was fine to give this kind of good stuff to people close to her, but she felt that it was a waste to give it to the Liang family. After all, these people didn't have a conscience. They wouldn't be grateful even if she gave it to them, and would greedily ask for more the next time. Zhao Yuner sneered and replied, "Second maternal aunt has a good idea. After all, these silk and satin were bestowed by His Majesty, so how could I dare to casually give it to others? Besides, even if I can't wear all of these silks and satins by myself, I can easily sell them for hundreds of taels of silver." Wu Zhenju's mouth twitched. She knew that Zhao Yuner's words meant that she was reluctant to give Yue Er to her family. She continued to grumble unwillingly. "Hey, Yuner, I know these silks and satins are precious, but you have so many of them. You're Yue Er's cousin. What's wrong with giving her one bolt?" Zhao Yuner sneered and said, "According to second maternal aunt, I can't be biased. After giving cousin Yue Er, I have to give cousin Zier and cousin Lai Di. Since his cousins had given him gifts, he couldn't give her anything less, right? Who knows how many horses we'll have to send out." When Wu Zhenju heard Zhao Yuner's words, he was somewhat displeased. If she didn't want to give them, then just don't give them. Why did she have to come up with so many excuses? Isn't it because other people didn't want them? But I took the initiative to ask for them. Wu Zhenju muttered in a low voice. "Second maternal aunt, do you think that if I give them today, they won't come and ask me for them after they find out?" Zhao Yuner asked in return. Wu Zhenju's face darkened. "Yuner, do you have to be so stingy as a person? To think that I helped your family clean up the table just now." Zhao Yuner rolled her eyes. She shouldn't have let Wu Zhenju do the work just now. As expected, he was taking credit for this matter. Zhao Yuner's eyes turned, and a scheme emerged in her mind. She wanted to see a dog-eat-dog scene. Chapter 1785. Upon hearing Zhao Yuner's words, Wu Zhenju immediately came over. She blinked her eyes and asked, "Yuner girl, is that true?" Zhao Yuner had a calculating smile on her face. "Of course it's true. However, I can only take out one bolt. Other than second aunt, if you want it, I think eldest aunt and second aunt would definitely want it as well. Why don't you go and discuss it with them? You can decide who gets the bolt of silk." Upon hearing Zhao Yuner's words, the smile on Wu Zhenju's face froze. She thought that Zhao Yuner would be willing to give it to her. She didn't expect that Zhao Yuner would ask her to discuss it with the other two people. How could Wu Zhenju not know Guo Caixia and Liang Jinfen? How could these two not fight for something good when it came to them? The possibility of them getting this batch of silk was very low. Zhao Yuner had a faintly discernible smile on her face. Upon seeing Wu Zhenju's reaction, Zhao Yuner said indifferently, "Second aunt, you don't want it anymore? Then forget it. I'll go talk to eldest aunt and second aunt, and let them discuss among themselves and decide who should take it." Upon hearing this, Wu Zhenju immediately became anxious. How could she give up like this, and let Guo Caixia and Liang Jinfen get the benefits? Even if the chances of her getting it were low, she still had a chance to get it. If she didn't fight for it, she would be giving it away for no reason. It was Zhao Yuner who said that it was something bestowed by the emperor. A bolt of silk was worth a few hundred taels of silver. It would be a pity to give it up so casually. Wu Zhenju hurriedly said to Zhao Yuner, "Yuner girl, of course I want it. Then take out a bolt. I'll discuss it with your eldest aunt and second aunt." Zhao Yuner smiled, and there was a hint of playfulness in her eyes. Zhao Yuner went and took out a batch of silk and satin from the room. She picked out a batch that she didn't like and took it out. Even so, This silk was a rare treasure in the eyes of the villagers. When Guo Caixia and Liang Jinfen heard them discussing who should take the silk, they refused to give in and started arguing. Wu Zhenju said, I was the one who asked Yuner for a bolt of silk cloth first. Since Yuner can only take out one bolt, I think the leather silk cloth should belong to me. Liang Jinfen's face darkened. He stared at the silk cloth in Zhao Yuner's hands with a hint of greed in his eyes. He started arguing with Wu Zhenju, second sister-in-law. You can't say it like that. No matter who asked Yuner for it first, since Yuner took it out for us to discuss, then we all have a chance. Otherwise, we wouldn't have just given it to you. What's the point of discussing? Although Liang Jinfen's words were vulgar, his attitude was very unyielding. He was determined to fight for it. Guo Caixia snorted. That's right, second sister. Your words don't make any sense. If there's no one to give it to, then we have to discuss it together. Wu Zhenju's mouth twitched. He thought for a while and said, I think this silk cloth should be given to me. If my Yuer wants to marry into a family, she must dress decently. Only then can she find a rich family. Eldest sister-in-law, your Zier is not handsome. It's a waste for her to wear it. She can't find a rich family like my Yuer. Wu Zhenju's words made Guo Caixia very uncomfortable. Her second sister-in-law was clearly saying that her Zier was not as good as Liang Xinyue. As a mother, how could she tolerate her daughter being slandered and looked down upon? Chapter 1786. The last thing Wu Zhenju wanted to hear was Guo Caixia's words. He replied unhappily, Yuer's marriage is only known to the people in her own village. How would they know if she went to another village or town to find a husband? Guo Caixia snorted and exposed Wu Zhenju without giving him any face. Second sister-in-law, don't tell me you're treating people as fools? If a rich family wants to marry you, shouldn't they ask around first? How can they just casually marry someone? Liang Jinfen agreed. That's right, eldest sister-in-law is right. Rich people are all shrewd. Marriage is not something that can be casually decided. Guo Caixia continued. Second sister-in-law, to put it bluntly, it's hard for a woman whose marriage has been annulled to find a good family. If the woman's background is average, she probably won't be able to get married for the rest of her life. Yuer's looks are not bad. She might be able to find a good family and marry an honest man. If you want to find a rich family, I think you should forget about it. How can Yuer get such a good thing? Liang Jinfen also chuckled and said, How can there be so many rich families? I think second sister-in-law is just daydreaming. If we're talking about marrying into a good family, my little brother's chances are higher. After all, my little brother's looks are not bad. He's not inferior to Yuer's. If he dresses up well, he might be able to catch the eye of a rich family. Guo Caixia also chimed in. I think my little Zier's not bad either. She looks very good in Yuner's dress. In this day and age, clothes make the man, and Buddha makes the man. If he dresses up well, he won't look bad. When Wu Zhenju heard this, he was so angry that smoke almost came out of his nostrils. These 2B** cheese actually dared to say that his Yuer wouldn't be able to find a rich family. Since he could find it once, he could find it a second time. She didn't believe that Xuan wouldn't be able to find a good husband with her daughter's good looks. Sister-in-law Zier is getting on in years. If she could find him, she would have found him long ago. Why would she wait until now? It's not easy for a girl of her age to find a husband. In my opinion, it would be good if she could find an ordinary husband. After Wu Zhenju finished scolding Guo Caixia, he turned to Liang Jinfen and said to Liang Jinfen, And second sister, if I remember correctly, your family can only give birth to daughters. You see, she only gave birth to 2 daughters in her entire life. She didn't even give birth to a son. I heard that you married the eldest daughter in town and gave birth to a daughter. Now, you're not liked by your in-laws. Who knows when your in-laws will divorce you? Your second daughter and first daughter are probably the same as you. They can only give birth to daughters and not sons. This was called heredity. Tell me, which rich man would be willing to marry a woman who can't even give birth to a son? So second sister, you should stop dreaming. Although my little brother's daughter is beautiful, it's useless if she can't give birth to a son. Being unable to give birth to a son in the countryside was indeed a matter of ridicule and disdain in the world. Liang Jinfen had been mocked and ridiculed by many people in her lifetime because she couldn't give birth to a son. Initially, she had been counting on Su Zhaodi, who knew that Su Zhaodi would also give birth to a good-for-nothing. Chapter 1787. Seeing Su Zhaodi's pale and weak face as a mother, she naturally felt distressed. Even if she felt distressed, there was nothing she could do. Who told Su Zhaodi to give birth to a money-losing child? If she could give birth to a son, the Huang family's attitude would naturally not be like this. And even if she felt distressed for Su Zhaodi, she could not bring her daughter back. A married daughter was like spilled water. How could she casually return to her maternal home? Her son was still in the Su family, and the family's money was in the hands of her parents-in-law. If she wanted to bring her daughter back, her parents-in-law would have to agree. Obviously, with old Madame Su's father's temperament, they would definitely not agree to let Su Zhaodi come back. The Su family relied on their reputation. If the villagers knew that Su Zhaodi came back to her maternal home because she was not liked by her husband's family, they would probably gossip and ridicule her behind her back. Su Zhaodi also cried and complained to her that her husband's family had said that if she did not give birth to a son in the next child, her husband would divorce her and marry another woman. Since she could not give birth to a son, there would always be a woman who could help the Huang family. Thinking of this, Su Zhaodi somewhat collapsed. She was really worried that if she could not give birth to a son in the next child, she would really be divorced by the imperial family. When that time came, she did not know how many people would laugh at her. After all, when she got married, she was very proud. If she was shamed, she would only be laughed at even more miserably. There was a saying that the higher you stand, the more painful it is to fall. Su Zhaodi felt that she could not bear the consequences of being divorced. Perhaps she would take it too hard and commit suicide. Liang Jinfen was very distressed when he heard this. He was also worried about Su Zhaodi's fate after being divorced. At that time, she would be even more ashamed to see people. Now that her daughter married a good husband's family, she had something to show off in front of others. If her daughter was divorced by her husband's family, how could she raise her head? However, having children was not something that they could control at a young age. If she could give birth to a son, she would have done so long ago. If she had a son, she would not be poked at behind her back like she was now. Therefore, when Liang Jinfen heard Wu Zhenju's words, he was very angry. It was one thing to know it in one's heart, but it was another thing to be mocked by others. Liang Jinfen said angrily to Wu Zhenju, "Second sister-in-law, how can you say that?" Wu Zhenju was not a pushover either. How could he be afraid of Liang Jinfen? He sneered and replied, "What did I say? I'm just telling the truth. I'm not wrong." "You!" Liang Jinfen gritted his teeth in anger. He almost couldn't hold himself back from going up to Wu Zhenju. Guo Caixia also glared at Wu Zhenju with displeasure. How dare he say that her zi'er was old, and that it was not appropriate to criticize her in-laws. How could he say that she was old? Don't you think I'm 17 or 18? Aren't there many girls of this age in the countryside who are married? To put it bluntly, he just couldn't bear to see her zi'er doing well. He always felt that if his daughter could marry a good husband's family, others could not. Second sister-in-law, even if my zi'er is a little older, she is still better off than your yu'er. Which rich family would be willing to accept second-hand goods these days? Eldest sister-in-law, what do you mean? How is my yu'er a second-hand good? Chapter 1788. Wu Zhenju's face flushed red when he heard Guo Caixia's words. How did this wretched woman find out about this? Did she see it with her own eyes? Judging from Guo Caixia's expression, he knew that she knew about this. However, Wu Zhenju knew that his daughter and the man had indeed been intimate with each other. However, the man had made the first move and Liang Xinyue could not reject him. She was afraid that if she rejected him, the man would get angry and cancel the engagement. Moreover, the two of them were about to get married. Since the engagement was already set, it was normal for them to be intimate with each other. Who would have known that the engagement would be cancelled? Sister-in-law, what are you talking about? Don't you know that this kind of gossip will have a great impact on our yuer? Wu Zhenju reprimanded Guo Caixia unhappily. Guo Caixia was not convinced. I'm telling the truth. I'm not talking nonsense. If you have the guts to do it, why don't you tell others? You. With Zhao Yuner as a witness, she successfully witnessed the scene of the three women fighting over a piece of silk. Each of them was very sharp and sarcastic, saying that the other party's daughter did not have the right to wear the silk in Zhao Yuner's hands. In the end, the three women did not give in and started to fight with each other. After the fight was over, everyone was covered in wounds. Their injuries were not light. Seeing this scene, Zhao Yuner could not help but secretly feel happy. This was really interesting. Through this incident, she also witnessed the selfishness and greed of human nature. If any of the three of them were to let go, one of them would naturally be able to get the silk. However, these three people were all selfish and did not give in, afraid that the other party would benefit. Seeing that the three of them were fighting fiercely, Zhao Yuner's eldest uncle, second uncle, and Liang Jinxiao hurriedly tried to stop the fight. After a long while, they finally managed to pull the three women apart. It was undeniable that when women were angry, they were really fierce. Even the man who was trying to stop the fight accidentally got injured on his face. The three of them were bruised and swollen. When they finally separated, they were still cursing at each other. Old Madame Liang rubbed her aching forehead. She felt that the three of them were crazy. Shut up. Shut up, all of you. Old Madame Liang scolded unhappily. The three women acted as if they hadn't heard anything. They continued to curse and almost started fighting again. Old Madame Liang was so angry that she clutched her chest and couldn't stop muttering. Rebel, rebel. All of you are rebelling. You can't even listen to this old woman's words. Eldest sister-in-law, second sister-in-law, second sister, stop quarreling. Mother is uncomfortable because of you. Liang Jinxiao frowned and said hurriedly. Only then did the three of them listen. Their gazes fell on old Madame Liang. Old Madame Liang snorted unhappily and said, Look at all of you. You're fighting over a piece of silk. If this gets out, people will laugh at us. How can a family fight so fiercely? Wu Zhenju could not help but complain. Mother, isn't it because eldest sister-in-law and second sister insisted on fighting with me? If they had just given up the silk to me, how could they have made a fuss? Liang Jinfen retorted unhappily. Second sister-in-law, what you said is wrong. Why should eldest sister-in-law and I give up the silk to you? Who do you think you are? Why should we give in to you? Chapter 1789. Old Madame Liang was afraid that the three of them would quarrel again, so she hurriedly said, all right, stop quarreling. I see that none of you are giving in, so it's better if none of you take it. Is it worth it to hurt your harmony over a bolt of silk? The moment old Madame Liang said this, the three of them immediately disagreed. Mother, that won't do. Mother, I still want to use this silk to make clothes for my yuer. Without the silk, where can I find clothes for my yuer to wear? Mother, my zier also needs to wear a good pair of clothes. It's second sister-in-law who said that it's easier to find a good husband if she wears it well. Old Madame Liang snorted lightly. Just now, they were still quarreling, but now they were united in trying to persuade her. She was very clear about the thoughts of her two daughters-in-law and daughter. To put it bluntly, they liked to take advantage of others. How could they casually give up when they saw benefits that were so easy to obtain? The problem is that none of you are giving in to the other. It's better to stop quarreling. Otherwise, you'll end up fighting again. Mother, don't say any more. Old Madame Liang snorted coldly, then said to Zhao Yuner, Yuner, listen to grandmother for once. Don't take out this batch of silk for them. Look at how they're fighting. I think that if they continue to fight, they'll stab each other with a knife. Zhao Yuner put on an awkward expression. Grandmother, this isn't good. I promised to take out a bolt. If I take it back, second aunt will say that I'm stingy. Old Madame Liang said with a cold face. She dares to say a word to you? Does she really think that this old woman is dead? Does her words not matter now? Zhao Yuner hesitated for a moment, then finally nodded and said hypocritically, grandmother is right. I also think that it's better not to take out this piece of silk. I originally wanted eldest aunt, or second aunt to take it. Who knew that such a thing would happen? If I had known that they would fight, I wouldn't have gotten involved in this matter. Old Madame Liang took Zhao Yun'er's hand and said earnestly, Yun'er girl, this isn't your fault. The things that the emperor bestowed are very precious. It's already very rare that you were willing to take out a batch of silk and satin. It's the three of them who want to fight for it. What can you do if Dida intervenes? Zhao Yun'er sighed and said, Yes, Grandma. They were all relatives. And it was not worth it to fight over such a small thing. In order not to hurt our relationship, I'll take it back. Yes. Old Madame Liang nodded in response. Zhao Yun'er hugged the satin and turned around to enter the room. Her eyes flashed with the pleasure of having succeeded in her scheme. She had come up with this scheme because she had expected that these people would be selfish and would not give in to each other. Actually, if these people had a bit of brains, they would have discussed it nicely and decided to sell this batch of silk and satin and divide the money among them. Everyone would get a lot of money on average. However, these people just wanted to swallow everything for themselves. In the end, they realized that all three of them were defeated and injured, and no one would get any benefits. Liang Jinfen, Wu Zhenju, and Guo Caixia were all stunned. They watched as Zhao Yun'er hugged the satin and entered the room. It would probably be impossible to get Zhao Yun'er to take it out again. Chapter 1790. Liang Jinfen and Guo Caixia were equally uncomfortable. Who wouldn't want such a valuable item? How could they just give it to someone else? They weren't fools. The three of them complained in their hearts. They didn't like each other at all. Zhao Yun'er put the items back in the house and came out. She was in a good mood when she saw the three of them. She didn't need to rely on her high IQ to deal with these stupid women. Old Madame Liang looked at the three of them and sighed in her heart. None of them were easy to deal with. They were always causing trouble. She felt annoyed just looking at them. After the three of them rested, they complained about the pain on their bodies. Ouch, my face is all scratched up. What if it leaves a scar? Wu Zhenju touched his face and looked resentfully at Liang Jinfen and Guo Caixia. Guo Caixia quickly replied, Sister-in-law, don't look at me like that. My fingernails aren't that long. How could they scratch your face like that? Guo Caixia's meaning was self-evident. Wu Zhenju's face was scratched by Liang Jinfen. Wu Zhenju's resentful eyes fell on Liang Jinfen. Liang Jinfen pursed his lips unhappily and said, How can you blame me for this? Didn't I get a lot of scars too? As Liang Jinfen spoke, he raised his arm and showed it to Wu Zhenju. The injury on his arm was quite serious. If it wasn't treated properly, it might become inflamed. The three of them looked like they were about to start arguing again. Old Madame Liang glared at them. Haven't you said enough? No matter how serious your injuries are, you deserve it. Who else can you blame for attacking him? The three of them closed their mouths resentfully. They still felt uncomfortable. Wu Zhenju covered his face with his hand. His expression was desolate. He bit his lower lip and looked indignant. Liang Jinghui comforted her. All right. It won't leave a scar. Even if it does, it's fine. You're already so old, and you're already married to me. You're not a young lady anymore, and you're afraid that you won't be able to get married. Isn't it fine as long as I don't despise you? When Wu Zhenju heard Liang Jinhui's words, he was a little unhappy. What do you mean by it's fine even if I have a scar at my age? Don't tell me that I won't be able to meet people in the future? Are you the only one who can see it? If I go out, people will definitely laugh at me. I don't want it. Liang Jinhui couldn't understand why a woman valued beauty so much. Even though she was old, she would still care about her appearance. She wouldn't just make do with it casually. Okay. Don't be angry. You're right. Let's go back to town and get some ointment. It shouldn't leave a scar. I heard that there's a doctor in town who makes good ointment. Although it's a little expensive, the effect is good. Although Wu Zhenju was reluctant to spend money, he thought about his face. He felt that he had to buy it back no matter what. As long as it didn't leave a scar, everything else was negotiable. After this side returned to silence, Liang Xinyue followed Mu Lianfeng to the riverside. Liang Xingyue looked at Mu Lianfeng's tall back. Her heart was filled with admiration. This high-quality man looked different from the rest. He was extraordinary. Even his back was better looking than the rough men in the mountains. If she could be with such a man, how happy would it be? Mu Lianfeng didn't notice that a woman was following behind him. When they reached the riverside, she heard someone call out to her softly. Chapter 1791. Mu Lianfeng frowned and turned his head to see Liang Xingyue standing behind him. As Zhao Yun'er's cousin, Liang Xingyue had been staying at Zhao Yun'er's house for the past 2 days, so Mu Lianfeng naturally recognized her. Due to their relationship as relatives, Mu Lianfeng replied indifferently, "What's the matter?" Liang Xingyue shook her head and stared at Mu Lianfeng with infatuation. Mu Lianfeng frowned in disgust. Liang Xingyue's gaze made him feel very uncomfortable. If you have something to say, just say it. If there's nothing else, then forget it. Mu Lianfeng turned his head away and ignored Liang Xingyue. He wasn't a fool. How could he not see that Liang Xingyue was interested in him? However, he had no interest in Liang Xingyue at all. It wasn't just because he didn't like women like Liang Xingyue. Most importantly, he already had Zhao Yun'er, so he wouldn't consider other women. No matter how outstanding other women were, he wouldn't take another look at them. This was even more true for Liang Xingyue. Liang Xingyue felt a sense of loss when she saw Mu Lianfeng's cold attitude towards her. She felt very uncomfortable. Why wasn't Master Shitzi willing to take another look at her? If they were at Zhao Yun'er's house, then it would be fine. After all, Zhao Yun'er was there, so Mu Lianfeng couldn't be too obvious. However, now that Zhao Yun'er wasn't there, couldn't Master Shitzi be a little more enthusiastic? Liang Xingyue bit her lower lip, and her eyes were filled with unwillingness. She continued to speak coquettishly to Mu Lianfeng. "Master Shitzi, how can someone of your status do such menial work? Cousin is really, she doesn't know how to care for you. If I were her, I definitely wouldn't let you do such work." After Liang Xingyue finished speaking, she looked at Mu Lianfeng affectionately. How could Mu Lianfeng not understand the meaning behind Liang Xingyue's words? Was she trying to sow discord between him and Zhao Yun'er? This woman was a little interesting. However, how could he allow others to sow discord between him and Yun'er? He was the one who did this work, and it wasn't Yun'er who asked him to do it. Whether Yun'er cared about him or not, he was very clear. Thus he said unhappily to Liang Xingyue, "This is my business. I'm willing to do it, and it has nothing to do with Yun'er. Master Shitzi, I'm just saying, you're very tired from carrying the water. Do you want me to help you?" Liang Xingyue winked at Mu Lianfeng in a negotiating manner. Mu Lianfeng rejected her directly, "No need." After seeing Mu Lianfeng's attitude, Liang Xingyue knew that it would not be easy for her to get close to Mu Lianfeng. She felt even more disappointed. Liang Xingyue could not understand. Shouldn't men be very fickle? As long as a woman was shameless enough to seduce him, she would definitely fall for it. However, Mu Lianfeng did not fall for it. He was indeed different from other men. Or was Mu Lianfeng too loyal to Zhao Yun'er? She did not believe. What was so good about Zhao Yun'er? She was not as good as her. Perhaps she was not proactive enough, so Mu Lianfeng was indifferent. Liang Xingyue's eyes darted around, and she quickly grabbed the bucket in Mu Lianfeng's hand. Seeing that Liang Xingyue was about to snatch the bucket, Mu Lianfeng quickly pushed Liang Xingyue away. He did not know what Liang Xingyue's intentions were. With Mu Lianfeng's push, Liang Xingyue sat on the ground and cried out, "Ayo, ayo!" Mu Lianfeng glanced at Liang Xingyue indifferently. He did not know what Liang Xingyue was up to. Chapter 1792. You sprained your ankle? Mu Lianfeng was suspicious and did not immediately believe Liang Xingyue's words. He had a feeling that this woman was up to something. Liang Xingyue looked at Mu Lianfeng pitifully and continued to say to Mu Lianfeng, "Sir, I really sprained my ankle. It hurts so much. Can you come over and help me?" Mu Lianfeng replied indifferently, "You asked for it. Who else can you blame?" His attitude was very clear. He did not want to talk to her. This could not go on. Mu Lianfeng did not seem like a man who could be seduced so easily. However, Liang Xingyue was not willing to give up just like that. She continued to act coquettishly. Sir, I don't have any other choice. I'm already injured. What else can I do? Are you just going to let me sit here and do nothing? Aren't you going to help me? Mu Lianfeng snorted softly. After I'm done carrying the water, I'll go back and tell your family to come and pick you up. Liang Xingyue opened her mouth. Mu Lianfeng's rejection was too direct. He did not even give her a chance. After Mu Lianfeng finished speaking, his gaze shifted away from Liang Xingyue. He held the bucket in his hand and carried the water. Liang Xingyue saw that Mu Lianfeng was really going to leave her here alone. Actually, her ankle was fine. She had deliberately said that she was injured because she wanted to gain Mu Lianfeng's sympathy and get closer to Mu Lianfeng. Who knew that Mu Lianfeng would be like this? Her plan was completely ruined. Now Mu Lianfeng was really going to leave and not care about her. He was really going to abandon her just like that. Liang Xingyue was suddenly anxious. She felt that she had to be more thick-skinned this time. So she rushed directly to Mu Lianfeng and hugged Mu Lianfeng from behind. After that, she mustered up her courage and confessed to Mu Lianfeng, Your Highness, I quite like you. I wonder if Your Highness can give me a chance to get to know you better. Mu Lianfeng was slightly stunned. He never thought that Liang Xingyue would be so bold as to come over and hug him. This woman relied on his tolerance and became more and more unscrupulous towards him. The sense of disgust in his heart grew stronger. Even though Liang Xingyue was Zhao Yun'er's cousin, she didn't hold back this time and kicked her out. Then a splash was heard. It was the sound of someone falling into the water. The person who had fallen into the water was Liang Xingyue, who had been blown out by Mu Lianfeng. Liang Xingyue didn't know how to swim. After falling into the water, she struggled in the water and even shouted, Help! Help! Mu Lianfeng subconsciously felt that Liang Xingyue must be faking it this time. So he ignored Liang Xingyue. However, Liang Xingyue continued to struggle in the water. Her entire face was ashen, and she looked like she was in extreme pain. If Liang Xingyue was faking it just now, he would believe it. Cola's ashen face from choking on water didn't look like it was faked. If this went on, someone might die. Although he hated Liang Xingyue, and this woman had the guts to covet him, he didn't want her to die. Mu Lianfeng pondered for a moment, then picked up a bamboo pole from the riverbank and handed it to Liang Xingyue. Then he started to sing. Liang Xingyue said indifferently, Catch. Liang Xingyue hurriedly grabbed the bamboo pole. Mu Lianfeng then dragged Liang Xingyue to the riverbank. Only then did Liang Xingyue get up. Chapter 1793. She felt that if she had come ashore any later, she would have choked to death in the river. It felt so good to breathe in the fresh air now. Thinking about it, Mu Lianfeng was really ruthless. He didn't show any mercy and directly kicked her into the river. He didn't have any tender feelings for the fairer sex. Cough, cough, cough. Liang Xingyue coughed heavily a few times and looked pitifully at Mu Lianfeng. She originally thought that Mu Lianfeng would look at her one more time out of guilt. However, Liang Xingyue realized that she was thinking too much. Mu Lianfeng only glanced at her indifferently and then turned to leave with the water. Shiziyi. Liang Xingyue called out pitifully. Mu Lianfeng didn't respond at all and only showed his back. Was he going to leave her here alone and not care about her? How was she going to go back when she was all wet? Shiziyi. Liang Xingyue's voice was louder this time. Mu Lianfeng showed his determination with his back facing her. Seeing that Mu Lianfeng really didn't want to talk to her anymore, Liang Xingyue finally gave up. After soaking her clothes in the water, Liang Xingyue's entire body was wet. Her clothes stuck to her body, and a few private parts were faintly discernible. If someone saw this, they would definitely say something. At this time, Lu San happened to see Liang Xingyue sitting on the shore after falling into the water. After seeing Liang Xingyue's appearance and her faintly discernible figure, Lu San swallowed his saliva and then ran over to Liang Xingyue eagerly. Miss, did you accidentally fall into the water? Lu San asked politely. Liang Xingyue bit her lower lip and responded with an aggrieved expression. Ah, so pitiful. A girl like you has suffered so much. After hearing Lu San's words, Liang Xingyue felt even more wronged. Wasn't that right? How could she have known that Mu Lianfeng would be so cruel to her? She was a young lady, and was weak to begin with. How could she withstand such torture? Seeing that Liang Xingyue was so wronged that she was about to cry, Lu San hurriedly comforted her. Okay, miss, don't cry. No matter what, it's all in the past now. It's okay. As long as you're fine, it doesn't matter, right? Liang Xingyue nodded in agreement. Lu San smiled and continued. Miss, do you want me to help you? Liang Xingyue thought for a moment, and looked at Lu Sanchong. She was smiling so warmly, so she shouldn't be a bad person. After she had choked on the water, she felt that she couldn't muster up any strength after tossing and turning. If she had someone send her off, she would be able to go back earlier. Otherwise, she couldn't just sit here and do nothing, right? Although the weather was hot now, it was easy to catch a cold if she didn't go back and change her clothes. If she fell sick, it would be even more torturous. So she nodded. Thank you so much. Lu San hurriedly waved his hand. Oh, miss, you're too polite. I like to help others when they're in trouble. Liang Xingyue nodded and smiled at Lu San. Big brother, you're really a good person. Lu San's smile had a hint of calculation. He was indeed a good person. But he would only be good to women, and the youngest and most beautiful women. Of course, he wouldn't tell Liang Xingyue the calculation in his heart. Chapter 1794. Lu San smiled mischievously, while Liang Xingyue responded gratefully. Well, that's why Big Brother is such a good person. Well, miss, let's not talk so much. I'll send you back quickly, Lu San urged. In fact, he couldn't wait to have fun. Liang Xingyue in front of him looked very beautiful and very young. The taste of playing with her would definitely be extraordinary. Okay, Liang Xingyue responded. Lu San supported Liang Xingyue. Although she was not used to being with other men, she had no choice but to let Lu San support her. The feeling of having a beauty in his arms was extraordinary. Lu San glanced at Liang Xingyue's delicate little face, and couldn't help swallowing his saliva. Miss, you're not from our Shuilin village, are you? Lu San chatted enthusiastically. Liang Xingyue shook her head. No, I'm here to see my relatives. Lu San was delighted when he heard that. It was easier to make a move if they were not from the same village. Who are your relatives? Lu San asked casually. My cousin's name is Zhao Yin and my uncle's name is Zhao Wenhua. Liang Xingyue replied. Hearing Zhao Yin Lu San frowned. He was not afraid of other people in the village, but Lu San was a little afraid of Zhao Yin. After all, he had been defeated by Zhao Yin before, so he knew that Zhao Yin was not to be trifled with. Looking at Liang Xingyue in front of him again, Lu San was thinking about whether to make a move on Liang Xingyue. He was afraid that if he made a move on Liang Xingyue, Zhao Yin would make trouble for him again. At that time, there would be a lot of trouble. While he was thinking, he heard Liang Xingyue complaining. Hey, my cousin is powerful now, but her character is really not good. She thinks that because her family is rich, she doesn't like us poor relatives. She doesn't know the immensity of heaven and earth. How can such a person be so lucky? She even caught the eye of the Shitsi. Lu San listened quietly to Liang Xingyue's complaints. From Liang Xingyue's tone, he knew that Zhao Yin did not like her. Since this was the case, it was a good thing for him. If he said that he made a move on Liang Xingyue, Zhao Yin would definitely not care about this matter. He had nothing to be afraid of. At the same time, from Liang Xingyue's tone, Lu San could tell that Liang Xingyue was dissatisfied with Zhao Yin as well as her admiration for Mu Lianfeng. He knew more about women, and knew what kind of words they liked to hear. He smiled and comforted her. Miss, in fact, you look much more beautiful than Zhao Yin. The Shitsi has a problem with his taste. If I were the Shitsi, I would definitely like you and not Zhao Yin. Sure enough, after Lu San finished speaking, Liang Xingyue's heart immediately became happy. She smiled and said to Lu San, Your words are so nice. It's as if your mouth is smeared with honey. Lu San smiled embarrassedly. I'm just telling the truth. I don't mean to coax you. Liang Xinhua blinked her eyes. Really? Of course it's true. Liang Xinhua said with a smile. You have a good taste. Hey, if only the Shitzi could have your taste. He would definitely not like Zhao Yin'er, but me. If the Shitzi could like her, she would become the Shitzi's wife in the future. Her status would be very noble, and she would be able to eat and drink well. Chapter 1795. Sigh. Everyone has their own fate, and it can't be helped that our fates are different. But you don't have to worry. With your looks, you'll definitely be able to find a good husband in the future. He might not necessarily be worse than Zhao Yin'er. Lu San comforted her. After hearing Lu San's words, Liang Xinyue's unhappiness suddenly dissipated a lot. Yes, you're right. I think so too. Liang Xinyue responded. The two of them continued walking. After walking for a while, they still hadn't reached Zhao Yin'er's house. Instead, they arrived at a forest. Liang Xinyue frowned and felt that something was wrong. She remembered that there wasn't much distance between Zhao Yin'er's house and the river, and the scenery didn't seem right. So she asked Lu San, who was beside her. Big brother, did you lead us the wrong way? Why do I feel like something's wrong? This doesn't seem to be the way to my cousin's house, right? Lu San smiled slyly again, patted his head and said, Oh, look at my memory. I remembered the wrong way. Zhao Yin'er's family has moved to a new house now. This is the way to the old house, so I took you the wrong way. After listening to Lu San's explanation, Liang Xinyue finally understood. She nodded and said, Yes, that's good. Big brother, take me there now. Lu San responded, Okay, don't worry, miss. Yes. The two of them continued walking. When they reached the depths of the forest and saw that there was no one around, Lu San couldn't wait to reach out and touch Liang Xinyue's butt. Along the way, his heart was burning. He couldn't wait to touch Liang Xinyue. However, this was not the right place. Once he touched Liang Xinyue, she might shout at the top of her lungs and run away. He had no choice but to control his temper and slowly lead Liang Xinyue into the woods. In this way, even if Liang Xinyue shouted loudly, no one would pass by. He could still manage the matter between him and Liang Xinyue. Liang Xinyue could only cry for help, but to no avail. She didn't expect Liang Xinyue to be so stupid. She was tricked into going to the woods with just a few words. Feeling her but being touched, Liang Xinyue's heart suddenly tightened. At first, she thought that Lu San was careless. But then she felt that Lu San's hands became more and more presumptuous, rubbing her but non-stop. What was worse was that Lu San directly hugged her and held her in his arms. His ugly face stretched out towards her. Liang Xinyue suddenly exclaimed, You, what are you doing? Why are you touching me? Lu San smiled wretchedly. Little beauty, I've helped you walk so far. You said that I'm a good person. You should at least repay me, right? Seeing how handsome you are, Big Brother's heart is itching. Just help Big Brother, and let Big Brother have some fun. Liang Xinyue finally understood what Lu San wanted to do. It turned out that he had this idea. She originally thought that Lu San was a good person. Now it seemed that Lu San was a hungry wolf. He was very fierce. From the moment he saw her and helped her, it was a trap. Now she was so pitiful that she was tricked into the woods by Lu San. No one could control her. She really regretted her actions. However, there was no use in regretting it now. She was trapped in Lu San's arms and couldn't break free at all. You, let go of me, rogue. Chapter 1796. Looking at Lu San's face that was full of pockmarks, Liang Xinyue only felt the things in her stomach churning. It was extremely disgusting. If she was defiled by such an ugly man, she would rather die. You, let me go. Liang Xinyue screamed and struggled in Lu San's arms. However, she had fallen into the water and choked badly. She didn't have much strength. Lu San was a man. How could she break free from Lu San? Liang Xinyue cried in despair. When Lu San's face continued to come closer, she spat on Lu San's face. You disgusting man. Why don't you take a piss and look at yourself? You want to touch me? You're disgusting. Lu San wiped the saliva on his face, put it near his hand and smelled it. He said with a look of enjoyment, "It's really fragrant." Liang Xingyue was disgusted by Lu San again. This man was a bit perverted. Lu San's heart was stirred. He couldn't wait to grab Liang Xingyue and press her on the ground. Then he began to help Liang Xingyue take off her clothes. After a while, Liang Xingyue's coat was taken off. Seeing that she couldn't get away, Liang Xingyue cried regretfully again. Go away, girl, don't struggle. No one here will come to save you. Why waste your strength? Let me have some fun. After I'm done, I'll let you go naturally." Liang Xingyue struggled a little, and Lu San continued to take off her clothes triumphantly. After taking off Liang Xingyue's pants, Lu San couldn't wait to enter her. Suddenly, a man came and scolded Lu San. "What are you doing? How dare you do such a heinous thing in broad daylight?" Lu San was stunned. He raised his head and glanced in the direction of the voice. Before he could react, he felt a kick land on him. Afterwards, Lu San was thrown heavily. He fell quite heavily and immediately spat out a mouthful of blood. Afterwards, Lu San lay on the ground. He was unable to move at all. Lu San and Liang Xingyue, who were lying on the ground, looked at this person at the same time. This person was in his 20s and was dressed in black. He looked mighty and domineering. It was obvious that he was not someone to be trifled with. She was none other than Mo Yen. Mo Yen encountered such a situation as soon as she came down the mountain. She couldn't bear to see others do such dirty things, so she came up and sent Lu San flying with a kick. Mo Yan's face was still cold even after Lu San was dealt with. She walked up to Lu San and directly grabbed Lu San's collar. She said to Lu San coldly, "Let's go. I'll take you to see an official. I'll let the county magistrate chop off your hand." Lu San immediately paled in fright when he heard that he had to see an official. He begged Mo Yen, "Young master, please let me go. I was just lustful for a moment. I won't do it again." Mo Yen rolled her eyes as if she was thinking about Lu San's words. Lu San hurriedly swore, "I really won't do it again. Young master, please believe me. If I do such a thing again in the future, I will definitely be struck by lightning and die a horrible death." Mo Yen snorted coldly. "I can tell from your face that you're not a good person. Since you've done something like this, you should be punished. However, you've hurt this girl. She'll decide where you'll go." Chapter 1797. At this moment, Liang Xingyue sat on the ground. The fear on her face had yet to disperse. Her clothes were in a mess. Her thighs and other private areas were exposed to the air. Mo Yen had never seen something like this before. Her face immediately reddened, and she was rather afraid to look at Liang Xingyue. He understood what it meant to look at indecent things extremely well. Liang Xingyue seemed to return to her senses. She put on her clothes in a hurry, thinking about how if Mo Yen had not intervened earlier, she probably would have been defiled by Lu San already. Liang Xingyue struggled to imagine the consequences. Her engagement had already been annulled in the first place. This was a shameful matter in the countryside, so it was extremely difficult for her to find a good husband. Now that her body had been defiled, it was basically impossible for her to find a good husband. Fortunately, Mo Yen had saved her, which was equivalent to saving her life. Liang Xingyue looked at Mo Yen gratefully. She could tell with a single glance that Mo Yen was not a simple person, whether it was in terms of appearance or attire. He probably had a good status just like the young master, so she developed a sliver of admiration for Mo Yen. Although Mo Yen could not compare to the young master, he was still worlds apart compared to the rough men of the countryside. At the very least, he could be regarded as extraordinarily handsome. Just looking at him made people feel comfortable. Only after Liang Xingyue covered herself did Mo Yen turn around again. She said to Liang Xingyue, "Miss, this person tried to defile you, so you decide how to deal with him. What do you think we should do now?" Liang Xingyue glanced at Lu San. She ground her teeth in hatred towards Lu San. This man had almost caused her to lose her chastity. How could she let him go so easily? Just when Liang Xingyue made up her mind to report this to the authorities, Lu San looked around and persuaded her. "Miss, I was just lustful earlier. I can guarantee that I won't do it again. Please be magnanimous, and let me go. If they really arrest me, it might not be a good thing for Miss. Young lady, think about it. Although I haven't really done anything to Auntie, it's inevitable that there will be a lot of gossip. When the time comes, it will affect young lady's reputation. I'm a man, so it's fine. But when a lady marries in the future, I'm afraid. It had to be said that Lu San was used to using women's psychology to successfully bully many people. When Liang Xingyue heard this, she felt that what Lu San said was indeed very reasonable. If Lu San was arrested and sent to the officials, although Lu San would be punished by the officials, she would also be implicated at the same time. For her now, how could there be any more rumors? If that happened, she might not be able to get married. She could not bear the consequences. After hesitating for a while, she bit her lip and said to Mo Yen, "Young master, let's just forget about it." Although this person went a little overboard, it was fortunate that young master acted in time and didn't taint me. I'm still at a marriageable age. I don't want people to gossip about me. Mo Yen thought about it and said to Liang Xingyue, "All right then. It's still up to Miss to make the decision. If Miss thinks it's fine, then it's fine." "All right," Liang Xingyue replied weakly. She could not help but glance at Mo Yen. Seeing how handsome and righteous Mo Yen was, she admired him even more. Chapter 1798. Lu San lay on the ground like a dog. He nodded in a hurry. Yes, yes, yes. I definitely won't do it again." "Then piss off." Mo Yen kicked Lu San's butt again. Lu San crawled forward in fright. He wanted to leave as soon as possible, afraid that Liang Xingyue and Mo Yen would go back on their words and send him to the authorities. Before Lu San left, Mo Yen suddenly said, "Wait." Lu San's heart suddenly tightened. He turned around bitterly and asked Mo Yen, "Is there anything else, young master? Don't tell anyone about this. If I find out that you spread any rumors, I'll skin you alive." Mo Yen said coldly, "Yes, yes, yes." Lu San clenched his buttocks tightly. "You can piss off now." Mo Yen urged in disgust. Liang Xingyue looked at Mo Yen rather infatuatedly as she watched Lu San flee in a hurry, completely devoid of his previous arrogance. As if she could sense Liang Xingyue's scorching gaze, Mo Yen felt uncomfortable. Clearing her throat, Mo Yen said to Liang Xingyue, "Miss, you have to be careful next time. There are many bad people in this world, so don't fall into their traps. Fortunately, I just happened to pass by today," or Liang Xingyue thanked her in a hurry. "Thank you for saving my life, young master. I'm unable to repay you." Mo Yen waved her hand. "I'm not asking you to thank me. I'm just giving you a reminder. Don't come to a place like this with a stranger, just in case they have thoughts about you." Liang Xingyue said in a hurry, "Yes, yes, I understand. Thank you for your reminder, young master. I definitely won't do it again." Mo Yen replied, "Since there's nothing else, I'll be leaving first. Until we meet again." Liang Xingyue immediately became rather reluctant to part with Mo Yen when she saw that she was about to leave. She had finally found an opportunity to hook up with a rich husband, so how could she give it up so easily? "Young master, may I know your name? You saved me, so I should at least know who young master is, right?" Liang Xingyue asked shyly. Mo Yen originally felt that there was no need to tell her, but when she saw how eager Liang Xingyue was, she said, "Mo Yen." Liang Xingyue repeated it in her heart, and felt that it was very pleasant to hear. "I'm leaving," Mo Yen said again. Liang Xingyue immediately pretended to be pitiful and said, "Young master, I don't even know where I am right now. I'm not from this village, so I don't know the way. I wonder if young master can take me away?" Mo Yen studied Liang Xingyue, and only then did she understand. It was no wonder that Liang Xingyue had been tricked by Lu San. She probably did not know the way, nor did she know that Lu San was a bad person, which was why she had been brought here. "Young master, can you take me away? I'm afraid I'll come across some bad people along the way." Liang Xingyue bit her lip and looked at Mo Yen pleadingly. Mo Yen thought about it. Since she had saved Liang Xingyue, leaving Liang Xingyue here really was a little unreasonable. If Liang Xingyue encountered any danger, she would feel very guilty, so she nodded and asked casually, "May I ask where you're going? I'm not from this village, so I don't know the way very well." Chapter 1799. Mo Yin could not help but sigh inside when she heard Liang Xingyue say that she was Zhao Yiner's cousin. It looked like she had saved the right person. He might not have known about other people's families, but he did know about Zhao Yiner's family. He replied to Liang Xingyue, "I know. I was just about to go." "Really?" Liang Xingyue blinked her eyes in some excitement. Yep. Although she was unable to guess the relationship between Mo Yin and Zhao Yiner, Liang Xingyue was still extremely excited. The two of them headed towards Zhao Yiner's home under Mo Yan's lead. They arrived at Zhao Yiner's home before long. Wu Zhenju hurried over when he saw Liang Xingyue return soaked. He asked nervously, "Oh my Yuer, what happened to you? Did you fall into a ditch?" Liang Xingyue glanced at Mu Lianfeng and answered pitifully, "Yep, I fell into the river. I almost drowned." Wu Zhenju was so scared that her face turned pale. She patted her chest and reprimanded Liang Xingyue. "I say, you wretched girl, why did you run to the river?" Liang Xingyue only felt even more wronged. Wasn't she trying to get close to Mu Lianfeng? When her mother saw Mu Lianfeng and returned to the Liang family, she constantly urged her to find an opportunity to seduce Mu Lianfeng. Who would have thought that something like this would happen? She had almost lost her life. Liang Xingyue was originally rather unwilling to give up. She wanted to continue seducing Mu Lianfeng, but now that she had met Mo Yin, Liang Xingyue felt that Mo Yin was rather good. She felt that Mo Yin was not bad either. The chances of seducing Mo Yin were much higher than seducing Mu Lianfeng. She might as well change her target. Why did she have to do those impossible things? "Mother, I don't want to do this either. Isn't this?" Liang Xingyue looked at Mu Lianfeng and meowed a few times. Wu Zhenju immediately understood and didn't say anything more. Hence, he hurriedly said, all right. It's good that you're fine now. Look at you, you're all wet. Hurry up and change your clothes. Don't catch a cold." Liang Xingyue mumbled, "Mother, I don't have any. We're not at home. Where would I get clothes to wear?" Wu Zhenju urged Zhao Yiner, who was at the side. "Yiner, go find a change of clothes for Yuer." Although Zhao Yiner was rather displeased with the way Wu Zhenju spoke to her, she knew that Liang Xingyue would catch a cold if she didn't change into clean clothes when she saw how wet she was. If she didn't even lend her clothes, she would seem too stingy. Zhao Yiner nodded in response. She glanced at the clothes hanging on the bamboo pole to dry. She had changed out of them after bathing yesterday. The weather today was very hot, and the clothes would be dry after a few hours outside in the sun. Zhao Yiner walked over and touched them. They were indeed dry. Zhao Yiner took them off the pole, and then walked over to Wu Zhenju and Liang Xingyue with the clothes. She handed them to them. "Here, these are the clothes. Cousin Yuer, go change in the room." Wu Zhenju's face immediately sank when he saw the clothes in Zhao Yiner's hands. "Yiner, why did you bring clothes like this for Yuer to wear?" Chapter 1800. Wu Zhenju muttered, "Yiner girl, you gave Zir a nice set of clothes. Why did you give Yuer such coarse clothes to change into? They're both your cousins, so you can't be biased. You have to give Yuer a nice set of clothes to change into, right?" Zhao Yiner's mouth twitched. She thought that Wu Zhenju was scheming something, but it turned out that he was thinking about this. Sure enough, she couldn't understand his weird brain circuits. Could it be that she was easy to negotiate with and easy to bully? Was that why these people came to provoke them again and again? "You think the clothes are too shabby? I have to give you a set of expensive clothes?" "Of course. Yiner girl, Yuer and Zir are all your cousins. As their cousin, you can't be too biased. Let's not talk about expensive clothes. You can't give me these coarse clothes." Wu Zhenju's tone was still full of dissatisfaction. Zhao Yiner came forward and snatched the clothes from Wu Zhenju's hands. Then she glanced at Wu Qingzhu unhappily and said coldly, "You don't have to wear it if you don't want to. I'm too lazy to lend it to you." After Zhao Yiner snorted coldly, she turned around and went into the house with the clothes. She didn't even look up. Wu Zhenju was stunned. He didn't expect Zhao Yuner to do this. This. Yuner girl, what do you mean by this? You didn't give Yuer a change of clothes. What if she catches a cold? Wu Zhenju shouted anxiously at Zhao Yuner's back. However, Zhao Yuner did not pay attention to her at all and walked straight ahead. Wu Zhenju was petrified for a moment. So she suffered a double loss? She didn't have any good clothes, so Zhao Yuner didn't even lend them coarse clothes. After being unlucky in front of Zhao Yuner, Wu Zhenju's eyes fell on Liang Jinxiao. He complained to Liang Jinxiao. Eldest sister, look. Why is your Yuner girl like this? I'll be honest, she has this kind of attitude. Liang Jinxiao was very tired. He didn't understand why his second sister-in-law liked to cause trouble and say these things. Zhao Yuner didn't have a good impression of the Liang family. Now she hated the Liang family even more. Now, old Madame Liang was a sensible person, so she reprimanded Wu Zhenju, second daughter-in-law. It's already good that Yin is willing to lend her clothes. You're still being picky, how can she be happy? You're in the wrong. Mother, it's Yuner girl who is biased. Look at the clothes she lent to Zier girl. And look at the clothes she lent to Mayu girl. It's like heaven and earth, okay? That's also her business. She can borrow whatever clothes she wants. Why are you thinking about other people's things? Don't take everything for granted. Old Madame Liang's eyes sharpened. She couldn't stand Wu Zhenju's unreasonable behavior. Why didn't the Liang family have any sensible people? They didn't want to help Zhao Yuner's family. Instead, they made trouble. The more they acted like this, the more Zhao Yuner disliked them. How could she still like the Liang family? Wu Zhenju, shut up. Looking at Liang Xinyue's wet clothes, he couldn't do anything. She had to change her clothes. Chapter 1801. I originally wanted to get you clothes that were as pretty as Zier's. Who knew? Wu Zhenju replied embarrassedly. He looked at Liang Xinyue's dissatisfied expression. Mother, you really don't say what you should say and say what you shouldn't. Look at what's happening now. Liang Xinyue did not hide her complaints at all. Liang Jinxiao sighed slightly as she watched from the side. She felt that this really could not go on, so she said to Liang Xinyue and Wu Zhenju, I still have some clean clothes. If Yuer doesn't mind, why don't you take my clothes and wear them? Liang Jinxiao's figure was a little different from Liang Xinyue's. Liang Jinxiao's clothes would definitely be too big for Liang Xinyue. However, they could only make do with the current situation. If they were too particular, Liang Xinyue would only catch a cold. Liang Xinyue thought about it and nodded. All right then. Auntie, bring me your clothes and make do with them. All right. Liang Jinxiao replied with a smile before entering the room. Zhao Yun came out of the room again with a sunken face. She really could not be nice to these people. Liang Xinyue changed into Liang Jinxiao's clothes and came out. She looked at her own clothes and felt that they were really ugly. The pudding clothes were loosely wrapped around her body, making her look even more dusty. Her original elegance had been reduced by a few points. Now that she stood next to Liang Xinyue and compared herself, Liang Xinyue felt that she was not even as pretty as Liang Xinyue. She even felt rather embarrassed to face Mo Yin in the courtyard. Ever since Mo Yin had entered the courtyard with her, Liang Xinyue could not help but pay attention to Mo Yin. She had never thought that Mo Yin would actually know the young master, and would even approach him. The two of them whispered to each other, but she did not know what they were talking about. Wu Zhenju noticed Liang Xinyue's strange behavior. Thinking about how Liang Xinyue had returned with Mo Yin, he prodded Liang Xinyue and whispered into Liang Xinyue's ear. I say Yuer, who is this young master? He didn't look like a simple character. Just now mother saw the two of you coming back together. Do you know him? Liang Xinyue quickly shook her head. Mother, I don't know her. I only saw her today. Wu Zhenju replied resentfully. He then stared at Mo Yin and became rather interested in her. When Mo Yin and Mu Lianfeng finished talking, and Mo Yin sat down to drink some water, Wu Zhenju eagerly made his way over to Mo Yin and began to chat with her enthusiastically. Mo Yin saw that Wu Zhenju was a relative of Zhao Yuner's, so she was too embarrassed to ignore him. Young master, you look quite handsome. You must be someone important, right? Emo Yan's lips twitched as she smiled awkwardly. You must be joking. I'm just an ordinary person. How can I be someone important? At most, she was just a servant for Mu Lianfeng. She really did feel diffident from Wu Zhenju's words. Wu Zhenju did not believe Emo Yan's words. Instead he said, Young master, you really are too modest. Since you're related to the young master, you must be someone important. Emo Yan frowned slightly. How could he say that? However, in the eyes of the villagers, he did seem to possess quite a good status. At the very least, he had an official position, similar to a constable. Chapter 1802. Emo Yan was very curious. Why was Wu Zhenju asking her this? Wasn't it a little too gossipy? It was like he was investigating her. Emo Yan thought about Wu Zhenju's eager expression before replying honestly to Wu Zhenju. No, auntie. I'm still single. Wu Zhenju immediately smiled uncontrollably when he heard Emo Yan's reply. Oh my, that's fantastic. Emo Yan was speechless. What was so fantastic about it? He did not think there was anything fantastic about it. He was already so old. Men around his age already had quite a few children. Yet he did not even have a wife. This was not his fault. He was so busy every day that he did not have the time to worry about matters of the heart. However, he did not want to find a random woman either. That would only waste his time and the time of others. Wu Zhenju forced himself to calm down when he saw Emo Yan's dumbfounded expression. He was afraid that his reaction would frighten Emo Yan. After wiping away her smile with great difficulty, Wu Zhenju made her way over to Emo Yan and asked, Young master, it's not right for you to not have a family at your age. You can't waste too much time. Emo Yan nodded politely in response. Who knew how many people he had heard that say before? However, wives did not just fall from the sky. How could they just come and go like that? Wu Zhenju's smile contained a sliver of calculation. He thought that the heavens really had given him this opportunity. Emo Yan was such a great man, yet he was still single. As a result, he giggled and pulled Liang Xinyue over to Emo Yan. He said to Emo Yan, Young master, what do you think of my daughter? Emo Yan raised her head and glanced at Liang Xinyue. She said honestly, she's pretty. She's quite delicate. Wu Zhenju slapped his thigh and giggled. Haha, young master, you have good taste. Yue grew up in our village, and is one of the best girls in the village. After being praised by Wu Zhenju, Liang Xinyue lowered her head in embarrassment, and pulled the corner of Wu Zhenju's clothes shyly. Mother, don't talk nonsense in front of others. How can you praise your own family members like that? Wu Zhenju did not take it to heart and said shamelessly, What's the big deal? Mother is speaking the truth, not nonsense. Mother. Liang Xinyue blushed and no longer dared to look at Emo Yan. However, Liang Xinyue still rejoiced when she heard Emo Yan say that he had never taken a wife, and was still single. As long as Emo Yan was single, she would have this opportunity. The heavens had arranged for her to meet Emo Yan, and for Emo Yan to step forward and save her when she was in danger. There had to be a reason. Perhaps she and Emo Yan were fated to be a match made in heaven. The more Liang Xinyue thought about it, the sweeter she felt in her heart. She had more expectations in her heart. Seeing how Liang Xinyue had become shy, Wu Zhenju did not continue teasing Liang Xinyue. Instead, he turned to Emo Yan and said with a smile, Young master, since you're not married and Yue is not married either, I think the two of you are a perfect match. May I ask if young master would like to consider my Yue? Emo Yan was drinking water when Wu Zhenju said that. She almost choked and spat the water onto Wu Zhenju's face. Wu Zhenju was stunned for a moment. Only after a while did he realize that he had been spat on. You're tuning in to the Journey of the Soul YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.